available right now. This is like a really messy road to navigate, and they're just trying to find somebody to play. Now, granted, you can get
Welcome to Sikkim 365 Radio.
And it's Brewer keeping it to the outside. Brewer lays the shoulder, dive, touchdown, Bears.
Sikkim 365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
There's a pass over the middle in the seams. It's Fleets. He's fleet of foot, and no one will get him. Touchdown, Baylor.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
In control, wound out by Hintz for Klingberg. One-timer.
Here, Paul Catalina and Craig Smoke.
Here we go, the opening hour. Sikkim 365 Radio on this Thursday. We will break down the game with Baylor in Houston. Sam Bradshaw, we stuck him in a chemistry lab with a lot of football film. Of course, he was panicking because he normally knows well in advance who the next opponent is. He could start working on things like that immediately, even back in the summer. But we threw a curveball. Mack Rhodes and company then threw one right back at him, and he has been studying Houston with Dana Holgorsen. And I thought maybe Dana Holgorsen had a little bit of playmanship with some comments he made about their game plan and about what they've been working on for the last 6 to 8 months and what Dave Aranda in that game Saturday afternoon, of course, Saturday morning, 11 o'clock kick, Baylor and Houston. It looks like all of a sudden miracles started to happen around the country with college football conferences saying that, oh, my God, we found this out. And now the MAC is the latest after the Pac-12 late last night, finding the miracle cures to finding and battling COVID. I'm not trying to be snarky about it, but it's just amazing. The Big Ten, then the Pac-12, now MAC. We'll get into that as well. We have a loaded lineup, including comments about the Cowboys or the Stars in college football and high school football. And, again, that Sam Bradshaw segment today will be at 5:30. Craig Smoke in studio, Paul Catalina, and I'm David Smoke. Isn't it kind of ironic, though, that you have the SEC and the ACC, and then you have the Big 12 and a handful of others, and then all of a sudden, now that games are being played and the clock is, you better make a decision now if you want to be a part of the fall, how yesterday, boom, 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 and even today now with the MAC. It's amazing that it's like that, Craig Smoke, with the way it is and how we are, and it's like they feel like that all of a sudden there was this like, boom, there's this miracle coming out of the clouds.
Yeah, it's funny how that all worked out for these other conferences, and, for all that science that they had these last few months, certainly that science was suddenly telling a different story when it needed to. And, these two teams these two conferences, I should say, in particular in the Power Five, have, made every excuse in the book for why they didn't want to play or why they could not play. And now they see a full weekend of games go on, even though there were some cancellations, and all of a sudden the science is saying something different. So I think we realize it's not the science, it's the people in charge, and Kevin Warren has looked like a fool this entire time. I understand he's new to his job. I understand that, there's a very unique start to his tenure with all that he's dealing with. It's not something his predecessors necessarily had to deal with, but I just think that he's fumbled this. The Pac-12 is clearly not a conference of power. They're just following the lead, and now they're trying to play, of all places. So I think people try to take advantage of kind of the emotions and the politics, and in the end, just keeping your head down and working through it worked out the best for everybody, and now, here they go trying to follow suit.
Yeah, it's just crazy. It really is. It's interesting because all of a sudden it's like, well, we better make a decision because the timeline is right now. You better make a decision of when you start, and you got to have yourself enough leeway to get workouts going as well. Like USC and UCLA all of a sudden, well, we figured out a way to start practicing at a certain time. That was something that came up yesterday evening.
Yeah, they have had the wildfires they've had to battle, obviously, and that's played a little bit of a role in things. And certainly the COVID-19 thing has played a role as well. But, for all of the obstacles that those challenges presented, here they are trying to fight through them, just like they could have done a month ago, just like they could have done 2 months ago. But back then, for whatever reason they couldn't, and now suddenly they can do what they could have done back then. So I'm glad that it's worked out. And I'm glad that, those two conferences aren't the ones that are kind of getting to puff their chest out like they were attempting to do in the beginning.
Well, their daddy said they could go back to work.
Basically.
That's what happened. Daddy said you can go back to work. The Big Ten was like, oh, we're going to do it. We figured out this way. It's magic. But, again, their plan doesn't seem to be all that foolproof. I mean, there's – at least with the Big Ten, and I don't know what the other conferences are going to do really, but with the Big Ten, with this 21-day – somebody gets COVID and you shut everything down, you could realistically have a 5-0 Big Ten champion.
Yeah, if they get to 5-0, and then everyone else plays like 2 games, or some play 7, and that's why the Big 12, the ACC, and the SEC, they built in buffer zones, kind of like mulligan weekends, in case something happens, and you hope that none of that does happen, but that's most likely going to be that way. Well, the Big Ten has no room for error, none, 0. And then they added that last week when everyone's going to play no matter what, that only one of those teams that survive have a chance to be a part of the college football playoff. All right, we're going to hear from Dana Holgorsen in a moment, Houston head coach. I've got a story, by the way, as well. And Phil Bennett told me this, and then he was going to send me the link to the story, and he never could find it. And then all of a sudden it resurfaced yesterday where Ed Orgeron kind of, it appears, throws some shade at Dave Aranda, that the defense and the fit and this, because Orgeron's a 4-3 guy, Aranda's a 3-4 guy. And then I watched a guy that does a podcast that covers LSU, and he's like, wait a minute. Aranda's defense has got better as the year went on, and that they were still in a lot of the statistical areas very, very good. And they don't – Burrow in the offense is why they won the national championship, but the defense was good enough to win some games that they had to win. And it was kind of like –
it could have been a shootout with Clemson very easily, given their talent, and they shut Clemson down for most of that game in the national championship game.
Yeah,
so,
Craig, you were about to say something.
Yeah, Ed Orgeron's been throwing shade for months. He's been throwing shade really since Dave Aranda left. I don't know what the backstory is to that. I don't know if it's coming across a different type of way when you're reading it as opposed to actually asking him the question and hearing it come, from his own mouth. But when I have read quotes from Ed Orgeron, I've always just sort of shaken my head and walked away going like, what is the deal with these little comments about Aranda he seems to make quite frequently? And I understand being excited about Bo Pelini. Bo Pelini is a great defensive coordinator. They very well could be better defensively this year. That's entirely possible, but they were still pretty dadgum good and good enough for Dave Aranda to get the Baylor job. And I know he's well respected across the country. So I don't know what that's about, but I've noticed that quite a few times this offseason.
Here's a quote. We are so much better on defense right now than any part of the season last year. I feel Bo Pelini coming in. He's brought a new energy, a new excitement, the 4-3. There's the deal. Orgeron's a 4-3 guy.
Yeah.
Aranda's a 3-4 guy. Dave Aranda did a tremendous job for us, but I'm glad we moved to the 4-3. We're more attacking style of defense using our personnel. Well, Ed Orgeron could have changed the alignment last year. He could have moved them to a 4-3 at any time Aranda was there.
Yeah, and they kind of more run a 4-2-5 than a 4-3, so he probably just wants big linebackers and all that.
No, I just saw breaking news on Deion Sanders.
Yes.
That's crazy.
According to HBCU Sports, Jackson State plans to name Deion Sanders their new head football coach Monday at 10 o'clock.
Well, that's interesting because, as you know, Paul, and his son is a quarterback for a team that's Cedar Hill Trinity Christian, and they just beat Malakoff like in a shootout. I sent a text to Deion Sanders. That's not just saying, hey, by the way, I have his number. I got his number from a friend of mine who's in coaching, and I asked him to come on the show, and he said he's a part of Barstool Sports, so he's got exclusivity, just like some that Intercom, whatever, that's part of the deal. And so he said he couldn't. Now he becomes the head coach. It appears at Jackson State. He's going to have to do some things. He's going to have to be able to be a part of he was just on the NFL Network up until what, Craig? Just maybe a month ago or so that all of a sudden he was gone?
I don't watch NFL Network all that regularly, but yeah, he was a mainstay on there for a long time. Not sure, what his status has been as of late, but I'm kind of glad I don't see him in the TV role anymore, honestly. And he's, obviously through the high school ranks the last few years shown an affinity for coaching. It's not going to be easy being at Jackson State. It's going to be tougher to recruit the top players, and you're probably not going to have much of a chance with top players, but he'll probably be like anybody else. It's like when Penny Hardaway got the Memphis job. It's like you automatically off star power get a couple of commits.
Young Sims running the mothership again today here at MLK and Elm Street right across from Washington Avenue on the Brazos River. MLK Plaza right next door. The Great Suspension Bridge right across the street. The Doris Miller Memorial right across the street, catty corner. And Colt Barber has been working nonstop since he got here today. Yesterday, Brian Etheridge drove in at the last second right after the show and brought one of the cameras. We are up right now, kind of test driving the video stream. We've got a great guest in-house on Monday, and we'll let you know more about that as the weekend goes by as well. So, go ahead.
By the way, Deion Sanders did interview for the FSU job.
Yeah, he did.
Last year, and from what I've heard, he was never really going to get that job, but his interview was good. Like, he had an actual plan.
I can imagine that.
So,
I can see that. Now, so Dana Holgorsen, we know what he's done when he's been at Texas Tech or at Oklahoma State or when he's been at West Virginia, now at Houston. And it's interesting because he's had a lot of success with that offense against Baylor. Now, things have changed along the way. Here's his thoughts. Dana Holgorsen, Houston head coach, on Baylor quarterback Charlie Brewer.
Yeah, he's a gritty kid now. No crossover last year, but a couple years ago, they came to Morgantown and we were a little bit on fire at that point. But the previous year when West Virginia went to Baylor, we were beating them pretty good, and they put him in there, and he almost brought him back to win. So he's played a lot of football. He's a smart kid, Texas high school football, with a lot of snaps and a lot of grit. So he's leading this Baylor team right now. And he's a guy that we're going to have to pay close attention to.
Dana Holgorsen, head coach at Houston. And I tell you what, I was on with the Big 12 Radio Network with Gabe Eichert and also Holly Rowe earlier today. And they asked me, Holly was like, this is going to be okay, right? I said, I don't know. I 34-30, 40-30, I don't know. I don't know how this is going to work out. A lot of the discussion we had was about the Baylor defense because they lost so much. And they also lost Phil Snow. And they also lost, a lot. But Aranda said to me earlier this week, and he said also to others, is that, what we did, we took a little bit about what I like, what Ron Roberts likes, and what Joey McGuire said worked as well with who they have coming back. But so much attention is on the defense, and we don't know. But we do know the offense, you would think, is going to be different. It's going to be a lot different, and they're going to be able to go up and down and have this hair on fire mentality. The question, guys, how does that complement what they were able to do last year defensively, because it is a completely different style?
Yeah, well, look, if they're going to have a wide-open offense that moves the ball a lot faster and doesn't grind the clock quite as much, although Larry Fedora says that he'll kind of yo-yo that back and forth based on the need of the game, which I think is a pretty clever way to go about it and probably the best way to go about it. But I think that the defense will kind of mirror the offense as opposed a little bit more than the offense had to acquiesce to the defense like it did last year.
I mean, I'm waiting to see. I don't know. We haven't seen it yet, but I think it's going to be, a situation where Fedora can change tempos at will. A lot of it will determine, how the game's going. Do they need to score quickly? Do they need to slow it down and burn some clock? I mean, that's going to have a lot more to say than just the schemes themselves. But no, I mean, it'll clearly be complementary football. I don't think we're going to be expecting 60-second drives and then, a defense that was already out there for 12 plays 5 minutes ago having to go back out there for another set of series and then having to go back out there 5 minutes later again because their offense scored. I don't think it's going to be like that. I think it's going to be a happy medium between what we saw with Matt Rule and Jeff Nixon and those involved, and then what we saw previously with the Browse regime. So, a unique mix for Fedora, but I am excited to see it, and I'm excited to see how they complement one another.
Our guests today, including Bruce Levine, co-host of the Dallas Stars radio broadcast studio, network pregame, intermission, host postgame as well. He'll join us at 3:30. Jennifer Smoke, fantasy football expert, at 3:45, and even worse is she won.
She did.
Her first week. Despite Saquon Barkley. And then also Max Olson, college football with theathletic.com, Mickey Spagnola, DallasCowboys.com, our high school football pick'em, 2 games have been canceled. We'll continue to do what we do. That's at 4:45. And former Baylor quarterback Jeff Watson, he'll join us today at 5 o'clock. He was the quarterback in that rout of Houston the last time they played in 95. And Sam Bradshaw, college football mad scientist, will join us today at 5:30. The U.S. Open golf is going on, and Justin Thomas ran out to 5 under 65. Patrick Reed, 4 under. Rory McIlroy's 3 under. Just to give you some of the names, Bryson DeChambeau, and he's wailing away at just hitting it wherever he is, no matter the rough, is 3 under through 10 today. John Rahm, 2 under through 9 today. Defending champion Gary Woodland is 1 under, and he is on the course through 10 so far. Patrick Cantley, even par. These are some of the names of some of the players we picked yesterday. Tony Finau, even. He's on the course. Xander Schauffele is even through 8 as well today. Let me see. Webb Simpson finished 1 over. Tiger Woods was 3 over. In fact, double bogeyed his last hole. Jimmy Walker of Baylor is at 2 over. Jason Day done for the day at 2 over par. And there's a few other names we'll get to. Mickelson's 2 over through 9. In fact, he was 2 over right off the top, in fact, today. Justin Rose, 3 over. Paul Catley, Daniel Berger, 3 over and still on the course. Tommy Fleetwood, 3 over on the course. Colin Morikawa. Oh, Tyrell Hatton, 4 over. Colin Morikawa, the PGA champion, shot 6 over today. And
he's got one day before he's dead to me forever.
Well, here's the thing. If he goes out and shoots even par, which is easier said than done because most everybody is over par, he's going to make the cut because it won't be at 6 over par. The cut might even be at 6, 7, 8, 9, even who knows over par as well. But he had a 6 over today, 76. So that's what's going on as well today. And that's what's going on as far as most of everything in sports. Craig, anything today catch your attention elsewhere other than what we talked about? Oh, there was this cancellation. UNC Charlotte will go cancel their game with North Carolina because of COVID-19.
No, I think the big story is clearly the Pac-12 trying to get back to playing football now. The science, of course, just so timely for the Big Ten and the Pac-12. And that's the story to me. I mean, that's changing everything. Here we were looking at a full spring football slate, although that was, questionable about how full that would actually be. And it's just funny how things turn on a dime. It's funny how politics and things change when money gets involved. There was no way that these schools were just going to play no football and just go about their business like nothing was going to change. Money was going to change. Money has already changed. Money has already canceled various sports across the country. It's eliminated a lot of positions around the country. A lot of jobs that aren't even involved in sports have been eliminated. So this was very foreseeable, and I never heard a great explanation on how they were going to manage that other than, we'll just cut sports and we'll cut jobs. Okay, well, at some point you got to do something else because you'll run out of jobs and sports to cut. So, I mean, this is not a surprise to me. This had to happen at some point, and, the spring thing was just so shaky to begin with. That was just a prayer, if anything, when announced. It was just let's announce something that we're going to do, and we'll play in the spring. But I never felt like that was that realistic.
You know what the spring felt like to me? It was like when a politician says they've got a plan for something, but they haven't revealed it yet, and it's look, I've got a great plan for healthcare.
What is it?
Healthcare is great. Look, we are going to roll out the plan when the plan is ready, but we've got the bones of the plan are there.
But this is the debate. You should have that plan
exactly.
now. Where is it, candidate Catalina?
So when you ask, what's the plan for the spring? We have a great plan for it. It's an excellent plan. It's a very viable plan.
Push it down the road.
Yeah, push it down the road.
Yep, that's right.
And I do think, a lot of this, the credit for this has to go to the players of the Big Ten. The players in the Big Ten, particularly at Nebraska and Ohio State, Nebraska for one reason, it's look, they wanted to play. They wanted to play. It wasn't really about the NFL for them. But for Ohio State, it's kind of a different thing where these guys who are NFL players are saying, well, I can't wait any longer.
And you're right, and that forced the hands. And I'll tell you right, Desmond Howard yet again last night, he was on SportsCenter, and what is his deal where he said Nebraska must think, hey, they have a really good football team. This is what they're there for. I know it's student athlete. They're there to play football. Why is he grilling a football program? Because they want to play what they're there to do, play football. It's crazy.
Consider the source.
Yeah.
I mean, he said multiple dumb things about Nebraska now. I don't even listen to Desmond Howard, so I have no idea what he says. But what he does say, does not carry much weight with me unless he's talking about being a football player, which he knows a lot more about. Outside of that, as an analyst, even though he knows the game better than I do, I don't think he's necessarily some great analyst. I think he's a former Heisman Trophy winner who can talk a little bit and is comfortable in front of a camera. So forget what he has to say. But the other note that I had was Scott Drew and Baylor basketball. They had this big matchup with Gonzaga announced, and with the upcoming college basketball season, you wonder about these non-con games and what's going to be able to take place and what's not. And they have announced, Baylor and Gonzaga both, that they are fully committed to playing that game this season. Great. They don't know the when and the where, but they are going to play, and both those teams are considered, number one overall type teams.
My first choice for that is what Scott mentioned to us when we had him on the last time about that game, where maybe some of those non-conference games are in kind of not even like an invitational, it's just a bubble format, is where you get, 8 teams together, you go to a place, you kind of mix and match who you play, and then you go home, over a couple of weeks.
Yeah, but the bottom line is it's not off. That's good because that start date has been pushed back into late November. One of the notes about Dana Holgorsen in this Ross Dellinger piece on SI.com, which Mac Rhodes kind of documented for us when we had him on Tuesday, and how they threw this thing together with Houston in 18 hours. One of the comments from Holgorsen in this comment in this story, Holgorsen, meanwhile, preparing in a week's time for a program with a new head coach, new defensive coordinator, new offensive coordinator, doing it with about 1/4 the number of analysts. He shrugs it off. That's 1/4 the number of analysts that Baylor has. I know who's on his staff, talking about Aranda, and I know where they've been, and through the grapevine, I know what they're doing. But what about them? They don't know what I've been up to for the last 6 to 8 months here.
That's classic Dana Holgorsen.
Little poker player, right? Dana Holgorsen's not going to change much of what he's been doing his entire life in coaching.
No. Well, we don't know what he's been up to exactly, but we do know he intentionally tanked his team last year as part of some mad scientist scheme to make them really good this year. So I'd expect that they think they're really good this year.
They had a lot of players who were transfers who had to sit out last year who are now eligible. That will make them better alone.
It should, but, you bring in a bunch of JUCOs all at once, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be very good, and sometimes it makes you a worse football team. I think Texas Tech's a team we got to wait and see throughout the year, but they have a lot of transfer JUCO-type guys, and that's good for a position or two, but when you're filling out like half your team at times, like some do, that team is usually never that good. But that's not necessarily, their situation. I'm sure he's been up to a lot of interesting stuff. He's a creative guy, but so is the Baylor staff, so we'll see.
All right, when we come back, Bruce Levine, he covers the Stars. He's all into what's happened with them, as many are now, because the Stars are in the Stanley Cup Final, still awaiting what happens with Tampa Bay and New York, the Islanders, and also the Lightning. Bruce Levine, then Jennifer Smoke on fantasy football, and then later on, Max Olson, Mickey Spagnola, high school football pick'em. And then former Baylor quarterback Jeff Watson was a part of that 95 game when they beat Houston 47-7. He'll join us today at 5, and Sam Bradshaw breaks down Houston and what they do at 5:30 on the text line, brought to you by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, 254-339-1122. Armstrong, Colt, Paul, Craig, I'm David Smoke. This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Pioneer Steel and Pipe. They've been in the business since 1943. Think about all of the changes when it comes to even those who've run the government, how economics has changed over the last 77 years, the ups and the downs with the economy. And yet here we are, and Pioneer Steel and Pipe, 77 years strong and getting bigger, better, faster, stronger. And when it comes to bigger, better, faster, stronger, if you're interested or you're in the middle of about to launch a metal buildings project, there's no place you should go other than Pioneer Steel and Pipe, and locations in both Waco and Bryan. Open on Saturdays if you can't get to what you need during the week from 8 until noon. 77 years, and we're talking about product that you build things with. Heavy, bulky, iron, steel, aluminum, and also what you need when it comes to building a fence or an entryway, and especially with what they have, the knowledge, the insight, and the expertise and who they know when it comes to the contractors in the business of metal buildings. And they will also, because we're talking about heavy-duty stuff that you need, and I say stuff, product, that's been better and better every single year as they've been in business for nearly 8 decades, they'll deliver it to you, and they will also unload it for you wherever the site of the construction might be. Could be on your ranch. It could be a business. It could be somewhere else. Pioneer Steel and Pipe. The Pioneer Boys, nearly 8 decades of bigger, better, faster, stronger customer service and great product. PioneerBoys.com.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. And this football season, you need to stop by on game day for curbside pickup or stop by their tent next to Sikkim 365 at Brazos Parking for your pregame refreshment. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and 2-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, and brimstone. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to treat kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
It's the heat of the summer, but the real heat is what you're cooking on the grill, smoker, or in the oven. So Waco Custom Marketplace can be your go-to playmaker for summertime grilling. You can't go eat anywhere else? Be your own chef with custom ordered and cut ribeyes, sirloins, fillets, New York strips with a focus on high-quality beef at a competitive price. Waco Custom Marketplace also has fresh deli cuts with sliced turkey, ham, pepperoni, or corned beef. Waco Custom Marketplace also your home for the freshest seafood in town. Salmon, shrimp, mahi-mahi, great priced chicken products, whole birds, tenders, chicken breast, and wings. Waco Custom Marketplace with smoked items unique to Waco, house-made bacon, summer sausage, boudin, hot links, and German sausage. Every seasoning for every occasion, grilling, baking, or frying. Your hometown grocery store with canned goods, pasta, fresh baked bread, buns, chips, sauce, condiments to pickles, charcoal and lighter fluid, cold beer and wine, best kolaches in Waco, mouth-watering cinnamon rolls, and here's here for the community every single day, helping you avoid the long lines in crowded stores, serving quality products to the Waco community. Go online for the weekly value boxes. Family owned and operated Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
In control, wound out by Hintz for Klingberg. One-timer, scores! Dennis Mariano wins it in overtime. The Dallas Stars are on their way to the Stanley Cup Final.
The Sikkim 365 Radio Live Guest VIP Hotline is sponsored by Stonewood Dental. We are all in this together.
Here we go, Sikkim 365 Radio. It's 3:30. Paul Catalina, Craig Smoke. I'm David Smoke. Armstrong runs the mothership. Colt Barber, thanks for his help all throughout the day today. Still much more to do here. Tonight, Game 6 between the Lightning and Islanders. Game 6, Lightning up 3-2. Islanders beat them in double overtime, in 2 overtimes a couple of nights ago, so that series still not over. The Stars await the winner. Bruce Levine, who is a pregame, intermission, and postgame studio host of Dallas Stars Hockey, joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. I knew Bruce back in the day when he was an amazing producer with what he did at Channel 8 in Dallas in television, and of course has been successful throughout. Bruce, thanks for your time. The Stars are just sitting back in their recliners watching this happen. I know sometimes there's concerns about, is there a delay? Are you going to get stale or whatever? Do they want this thing to go Game 7, triple overtime in a couple of more days?
Well, it wouldn't hurt. The Stars wouldn't mind if it goes and there's a ton of checking and shot blocking and people getting worn down. But in reality, you're stuck in the bubble. And for the Dallas Stars, it doesn't matter whether the Stanley Cup Final starts Saturday or next Monday. They're going to be ready. They've been up there for 7+ weeks, isolated in the bubble. So there's not going to be a loss of focus no matter what happens.
This one is a lot stranger, though, isn't it, Bruce, than 20 years ago? And then 20 years ago, and you're talking about Modano and Brett Hull, and this team was kind of loaded for bear. And then this year, that's not what everybody thought about the team. Despite the star players that they have, this was a team in a lot of turmoil at the beginning of the season.
Oh, this was a team that was either really good or really bad, and there was no in between. And let's throw in a little bit of just craziness that you never could have predicted. Here's a team that started off 1-7-1, and everyone was thinking, boy, if they could just get back to 500 by the Christmas break, then they can make their run to the playoffs in the second half. Well, they go 1-7-1. Next thing you knew, they go 14-1-1 and vault themselves into the top half of the playoff contention in the Western Division. By that, I mean a top 4 team in the West. Then they fired Jim Montgomery for assorted reasons that were not made public and were not very good for the team because he was playing so well, and then they have to release the coach. Rick Bowness comes in. Team does very well. You throw in the Winter Classic. Oh, yeah, by the way, people forget, that was this year that they had 85,000 people in the Cotton Bowl watching hockey. Stars played great in January and February, completely tanked in March, a 5-month break for COVID, go to the bubble, and now you're in the Stanley Cup Finals. It's just the way everyone thought it was going to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely as predicted. You mentioned the coaching change there. Rick Bowness has obviously done a fantastic job. I mean, for them to reach this point, that goes without saying. But what has he done exactly? What changes has this team undergone under his coaching and under his vision?
Well, you couldn't make these changes mid-season because these were changes that had to be looked at and thought of. And the break for the pandemic, as strange as it sounds, helped Rick Bowness stamp his identity on this hockey team. And what they have done is they realized they weren't scoring enough. The Stars were, had the second, were very bad, with the 6th worst in the NHL scoring this year, 2.58 goals a game. And he looked at the tape and said, what this team needs is we've got incredibly talented defensemen. Let's get them up into the play. I want the defense jumping up and creating offensive pressure, and it's up to the forwards to read if a defenseman jumps into the play, that they have to stay back and cover that position. Because a lot of times, one of the first 3 players in the zone was going to be a John Klingberg or a Miro Heiskanen or even a Jamie Alexiak. So the thinking was, let these guys go forward with the pucks. That way we sustain pressure, but it's up to the winger, whoever is covering for them, to realize that they've jumped up and stay back so that way they don't get caught with 2-on-1s and 3-on-2s. So by activating the defense, it has made this team a much better offensive club. Now, they haven't lost a ton of their defensive identity. The Stars were second best in the NHL in goals against during the regular season. So they've kept a lot of their defensive good traits, but now they've added a couple of goals, and that's all the difference.
You know, and I was when I watched them in their last series, they've been explosive, and you're mentioning how it helped them offensively. They now seem like it's like blood in the water, and maybe that's just the way it is. Maybe the analytics say that. Maybe that's just the trend. But when they get one, they get three. It's kind of like the third period the other day when they were in trouble down 2-0. Next thing you know, they score. Next thing you know, they win 3-2 in overtime. Is it almost like created there's someone that really not, because of what they're doing now, was able to score goals on offense?
The scoring goals changes everything for this team. But realistically, they scored 9 goals in the series against Vegas and won. And they scored more than 30 against Colorado and had to go to overtime of Game 7 to win. So you have to adjust for each series and how you do things. For the Dallas Stars, goal scoring makes a huge difference because during the regular season, we used to joke that 3 was the magic number. Dallas scored 3 goals in the game 33 times in the regular season, and they wound up getting points in 30 of the 33 games. So very rarely did Dallas get to 3 and walk away empty-handed. So you take that into the playoffs, and it's almost the same thing, but now when you're playing a tighter series against a Vegas, now it's got to be 3 is the magic number, and you've got to keep the goal scoring down. Colorado, it was a whole different animal. Colorado was, first team to 5, team to win. So you have to adjust for each series, but the ability to score goals is what changes things. Dallas had 9 come-from-behind victories in the third period last in the regular season, which was almost a team record. They probably would have broken the team record had they played the full 82. So this is a team that knows how to come back, but they've got to be close enough. And that's the thing about playing that defense. And let's give a ton of credit to Anton Khudobin. He's kept his team within 1. The entire series, he's kept them within 1 or kept them within 2 and given them a chance to win. And that is a big thing. When your goalie keeps you in the game, you always have a chance to come back.
Yeah, you run that hot goalie. You ride that hot goalie if you can. It's like a starting pitcher who gets 3 starts in the World Series if you possibly can in the postseason as well. So Tampa Bay has the 3-2 lead, but the Islanders stayed alive with the Game 5 win. Tampa Bay is the better of the 2 teams. Whoever wins the series remains to be seen. Is there a matchup difference or problem if it's Tampa Bay rather than the Islanders?
I don't want to call it a problem. I'd rather say that Tampa is the most talented team left that the Stars can face. And Tampa was a team that last year was so far ahead of the Eastern Conference that they sort of put it in cruise control. And then when they got to the playoffs, they couldn't switch out of cruise control back into overdrive and got swept by Columbus. This is the same team, for the most part, that was the best in the NHL last year, was top 3 in the East this year, and they've got a ton of talent. The Islanders, if you look at the Islanders, they won game number 5 in double overtime, having less than 25 shots on net. That's about 1 shot every 3 minutes of a hockey game, which is not good. So you're looking at an Islander team that is really just trying to hang on by smothering the Tampa offense and then finding a way to counterpunch. Well, that's not going to be very successful for a long period of time. And the other thing that the Islanders have is that they had to play in the play-in round. The hardest thing to do in sports, in a postseason tournament, in my opinion, is win 16 games to get to the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
The Islanders have to win 19 games. And I think you're seeing that wear and tear take its a toll on the Islanders, which might be good if the Stars were to play them because they'd have to play a 7-game series and then turn around in the day and play the Stars again. But if they play Tampa, the Stars are going to have to figure out a hybrid between a Colorado team that wasn't good defensively and was pretty much missing their top 2 goalies, and Vegas, a team that was very good defensively. The Stars have to come with a hybrid solution between those 2 series because you take a look at Vegas and Colorado, you combine the 2, and you have Tampa style.
Bruce, do you think that now, 85,000 people in the Cotton Bowl, and now this, is Dallas officially a hockey town again?
If this was a normal season, and we were talking in the middle of June about the Stars playing in the Stanley Cup Final at the AAC in front of 20,000 people, this town would be electric for hockey. However, with this year and the pandemic and being in the bubble, people still, this is still a football town. The Cowboys are still the first thing people talk about. Now, if the Stars win, it's going to be another notch on the belt. I think the Winter Classic was amazing. I don't know if it's ever going to be a hockey town, but a lot of people who have had such a lousy 2020 have found something they can cheer about. And it is something that has brought some, I don't know if it's brought a ton of new people to the table, but it's brought quite a few and brought them a little bit of happiness in what's been a very difficult year.
Yeah, it does. In Dallas, the city of Dallas is thirsty. After the 2011 Mavericks, it's been zero, nothing. The Cowboys haven't really sniffed, even though they've flirted or they've teased. The Rangers, I don't even want to get back to 2011 because it just makes me want to throw up. And then, of course, the Mavericks really since that time either. And so the Cowboys and Stars and Mavericks and Rangers have been in a decade drought. Bruce, as always, great to hear from you again, my friend. So proud of what you're doing. In the pregame, intermissions, and also postgame of Stars Hockey, studio host Bruce Levine with us on Sikkim 365 Radio. Enjoy the finals and being a part of it 20 years later. I hope you're doing well.
Thank you, and let's try to talk more than every 3 decades, huh?
Yeah, no. He was fantastic. He was fantastic as a producer at Channel 8 at WFAA Channel 8 in Dallas, and now a part of the Stars. And maybe once the finals begin, whether it's Tampa Bay, whether it's the Islanders, and of course it will be Dallas, we'll be able to sneak him and Craig Ludwig on as well along the way. One other note in the NFL, we'll have Mickey Spagnola at 4:30. Jennifer Smoke on Fantasy Football is next. Tyron Smith missed practice today. He's going to do that. He can do that. Also, the Cowboys have still not announced, this is Thursday, they're playing in 3 days. What capacity they're going to have is like Jerry is not wanting to say we're not going to have 25 to 50%. All of that's kind of interesting as they continue to monitor what they can or cannot do. He's going to take that up. So if you're a ticket holder, you may not know right now if you can go to the game Saturday or Sunday based on what they're doing.
And the governor actually today just had a big announcement that 75% opening of businesses if you've had 7 days or more, below 15% hospitalization rate. So things are changing and might rapidly, but that still puts stadiums in a bit of a quandary.
When we come back, fantasy football expert Jennifer Smoke, her team won the first game, even with Saquon Barkley running for less than 10 yards. She'll say it was the general manager, her, and the head coach, she. Next on Sikkim 365 Radio.
The First National Bank of Central Texas, 5 locations right here at home. Waco, Woodway and Hewitt, China Spring, Martin, and Hillsboro. Familiar faces making local decisions, here to help you, your family, and your business. Whether it's great times or tough times, all of us need a bank we can count on. Great people, great technology, dedicated to their customers and helping our area grow. And safe banking in person or use their online or mobile apps and convenient drive-through and ATMs at all 5 locations. How about their first mobile app? And right now, with social distancing, comes in really handy. You can do your banking wherever you are, check your balances, make transfers, pay bill, and transfer funds. Plus, they've got the Secure Lock Equip, and you control how your debit card is used, and you receive instant notifications when your card is used. As a matter of fact, just got one on my phone about 30 seconds ago from a bill that comes out every single month. So I know you can turn your card on and off, especially when you're traveling. Maybe overseas, you control ATM withdrawals and set spending limits. So if you've got you've got a young person on your account, and you can say like this card can only have $150 a week or something like that on the withdrawals. For the First National Bank of Central Texas, 5 locations here to serve you at home.
Texas board-certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recalled drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com, principal office in Houston, Texas.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Dodge is the highest ranked brand in initial quality according to J.D. Power. Now at Allen Samuels. Get special offers on Dodge cars and SUVs. Dodge Charger SXTs are now available with 2.9% financing for 72 and no payments for 90 days. Dodge Journey has 2.9 for 72 or choose up to $4,750 in cash and subprime offers. Performance. Dodge from Allen Samuels.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The Sikkim 365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
All right, here we go. Sikkim 365 Radio, closing out this 3 o'clock hour every Thursday at 3:45. Fantasy Football League expert, general manager, head coach Jennifer Smoke will join us to kind of analyze how the first week or second week of the next week or the last week of NFL and fantasy football went. Sure, her team won the opening week, beating a team that had Deshaun Watson, Derrick Henry, and much more. She joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio, Craig Paul and David Smoke. So have you come down from Cloud 9 winning the opening week so you know you're above 500 in the start, so much better than I think maybe last year?
In the first week last year too, but yes, I'm very happy that I got past week 1 with a win, so I'm happy about that.
How did we do injury-wise?
Oh, God. Well, okay, so I've lost Marlon Mack. I mean, as far as my starters, I'm okay injury-wise, besides Galladay is still questionable, but thankfully I've got some options on wide receiver, but I have Saquon and I have Josh Jacobs, but my backups over this first week, I've lost Marlon Mack, and I've for the rest of the season, and I also have Lindsey. I know he got banged up a little bit during his game, so probably I obviously already dropped Marlon, but that's really the only thing that happened injury-wise on my team.
I have no questions. I don't like this segment.
Craig, shut up.
In all seriousness, how are you feeling already about the Saquon over Zeke pick?
Okay, listen. So here's the thing. I'm not worried about it at all because Saquon went against one of the best defenses in the league. And even with that, he still got me a good amount of points. And honestly, I know one of the coaches before the Steelers coaches before the game said that they're targeting Saquon. So, I kind of expected it to be not a crazy game for him points-wise just because of the Steelers defense. But I still feel confident in picking him. I mean, obviously it's still, I'm sure Zeke, as he continues to do well, I might regret it. But I know that wasn't one of the best games for Saquon, but I still have faith in him.
I always think that a strength of a team is if your best player doesn't play well and you still win, that's a good thing. And Josh Jacobs was a monster, 30-something points for you.
Yes.
Obviously, Wentz, if he survives from week to week. In fact, let's get into your quarterbacks. Carson Wentz may not get through this weekend if he gets beat up like he did against the Redskins.
Yeah, that one's already looking really dicey,
Yeah,
honestly.
and then your backup is Daniel Jones, who's an idiot, threw a terrible pass at the end of the game. Are you already starting to look for trades with quarterbacks? And I know that the other girls are listening, so they kind of know what you're trying to do, so it gives away a little bit of your poker face. But are you already looking at options at quarterback?
I've been watching, I was taking a look at who hasn't been picked up yet, but there's just nobody really that I'm thrilled about. Most of the girls have some quarterbacks that I want on their bench. So, I mean, I'm not stressing over it just yet. I'm sure I'll probably start trying to make some trade moves, but as last year, these girls really weren't fans of trades. So we'll see what happens. I don't hope anybody gets hurt on anyone else's team, but I'm hoping that some things will align so maybe I can talk some trades with some of these girls. But I mean, the best quarterback that's up for me to pick up that's just like waiver wise is Trubisky. Trubisky,
oh my God!
Who's your backup?
Daniel Jones.
Oh, is that what she said?
Yeah,
Okay.
who probably cost
how
her a
did you
touchdown
draft
for
Wentz and
Saquon.
Jones?
I know it's.
Okay.
Who was advising you?
God.
First of all, I don't know what to say, guys. I mean, it is what
You're
it
going to be
is,
fine.
okay?
Wentz is going to survive at least a couple of more games. Now, let's get into the best of why we have you on, the expertise of other people who they're doing well. But the Meredith and Taylor catfight, they both met in week one. And there's a group text, right? Is there a group text among the 10 of you and throughout the day on Sunday? So what was panicking to me is that you were sitting there and you had this massive lead, and then Saquon throws a shutout, basically, and then Derrick Henry's next, and he could have gone off, as you know, Paul. But you still survived. That's the good news. I'm over that. But Meredith and Taylor, Meredith beat Bear beat Taylor by 0.1. Is that by a tenth of a point? And how much bloodshed came from that?
Yeah, so it's funny because last year we started the season and we were just going to do even points, no decimals. And then, of course, after the first week or two, some of the girls started thinking, okay, well, wait a second, like we could possibly lose a week if it's just, a few decimal points or whatever. So last year, after the first week or two, we decided to switch it to decimals. So thankfully in Meredith's case, that saved, sorry, Oreo is in the background doing something. That saved Meredith. She ended up winning by 0.1 point. So, in her sake, thankfully, we changed to decimals. But, I mean, that reminds me of my season last year, just always coming down to the final few points. They didn't get into it, though. Taylor was a good sport about it. So, but that's heart-wrenching right there.
Well, what's our matchup this week? What are we worried about the most?
Well, I have Galladay in right now, so my projection isn't looking too good, but I can pull him out and put Hilton in. I am playing Tara this week, and she has Matt Ryan, Dalvin Cook, Duke Johnson, Tyreek Hill, Allen Robinson, Mark Andrews, Kareem Hunt, Steelers defense, and Harrison Butker.
I don't even think you should just forfeit the game.
Yeah, you're in trouble.
You don't need to suffer any injuries with who you're playing. Let's just give this one up, right, Craig? Just don't play the game. Just go to week
when y'all
3.
when y'all are hating on my team this much, it just motivates me even more to want to just beat her even worse. So I think that's a pretty even matchup. Dalvin Cook, I got Saquon Barkley. I mean, come on, this isn't going to be. I'm not too worried about it, but yeah, she does have a great team.
Matt Ryan against the Cowboys defense, they're really.
That's going to be who
does Philadelphia play, Paul, with Wentz?
I hope they don't play Washington again.
They're playing the Rams.
The Rams, yeah. So
Aaron Donald will turn him into a pretzel.
Jennifer, does anybody have the Redskins defense?
The football team defense.
Excuse me, the
Washington
Washington
football
team.
Any of the previous years, they probably wouldn't have picked them up. But
just monitor
them. Real quick.
I was just going to say, keep an eye on them. I don't know what defense you have, but that might be one. I mean, last week might have been a flash in the pan for all we know, but the Redskins defense might be pretty good. So you might just, keep an eye out.
Well, and they're going to force some sacks and maybe turnovers, but eventually my concern is 5 or 6 weeks into the season, the offense is very average. So
they're available. So I have the Colts defense.
Who are they playing this week?
Arizona, who's going to put up a lot of yards and stuff. So.
All right, so here's the biggest problem. You're facing your best friend. Tara is your absolute, like if Daniel ever does ask the question, she's going to be your maid of honor, right, Tara?
Yes, she is. Yes.
So is this like you guys are not friends?
That doesn't matter though right now. When it comes to fantasy, none of that stuff matters. Okay, it's all about winning every week. So we have to put that aside this week. But yes, she is my best friend. Yes.
Okay. Out of like 800 girls.
By the way, I bet Tara's talking to her friends right now. Like I'm going to kill her. Yeah. Totally destroy her.
She's too busy with the children. She's got a whole like a flock.
Dad, just 2 kids.
Okay.
That's a flock.
2.
That's a lot of kids. That's twice as many people. Look, that's twice as many people as they had in their house when they got married.
That's right.
That's a lot. If you double the people in a room, that's a lot.
That's about half of what you have out there somewhere.
I don't know. I have zero. I have zero.
Okay, let's talk about more important stuff. So what do y'all think about Will Fuller's matchup against Baltimore?
I don't like
Baltimore.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Well, you
I don't
got
like it much.
But who are your Galladay's crippled, and then you.
Yeah, in hindsight, I don't really like your receivers that much.
Oh my!
I probably should have told you that.
God. Y'all don't like anybody. Y'all never like my team.
You won.
Your running
1-0.
backs are good.
Your magic number is very good. Your running backs. And Josh Jacob.
Will Fuller got me over 20 points last week, and Hilton didn't have a great game. He kept dropping some major catches at the end, but.
I think it's going to be a 37-30 game. I know Baltimore's good, really good, but I think it's going to be a shootout. I think you'll get some points from him.
He's your best matchup. He's your best matchup.
I picked up Sammy Watkins too on waivers this week. No one had him on his team, but I don't know if that's anything to really brag about.
All right, hopefully next Thursday when we talk with you that Carson Wentz is still upright.
We have a lot of fantasy football content on Sick'em 365.
We do, and you got a show that you do.
Yeah, it's on the app right now. Steve May. We're going to add Grayson Grundhaver to it next week.
Man, all right.
Are you really?
Do y'all really have no faith in Wentz at all?
No, I think he's okay. That's a really crazy 5 first-round picks defensive line that they threw at him.
Well, and half his O-line was missing.
Yeah. Lane Johnson's going to play this week, but he's not 100%.
Former Groveton Indian, by the way, an Oklahoma Sooner. All right, Jennifer, thank you. Congratulations on your first win. And good luck against Tara. And please be nice to her because she's very sweet.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
That's Jennifer
Bye-bye.
Smoke, fantasy football expert, with us on Thursdays at 3:45. I don't know about Aunt Wentz.
I was not impressed by her receivers. I forget who her first one was.
Galladay.
Yeah, I was not impressed by that. I didn't really get that. But I guess I don't watch enough Lions football.
He was a hell of a player last year.
He's a solid play when he's healthy, but he's got a hamstring injury.
Yeah.
And, again, especially where she got him, that was a good pick.
All right. When we come back, we will have Max Olson on college football, his thoughts about the changing landscape in the opening weekend for Baylor and their game with Houston. And we'll also have Mickey Spagnuolo on the Tyron Smith. Is there anything other than just the fact he's a veteran and everyone knows he's good, just taking the day off? That's probably just to rest himself, then that's fine. Mickey at 4:30. Pick him at 4:45. And also Hillsborough head coach Steve Hale will join us at that time. 5:30, Sam Bradshaw, college football analyst. And at 5 o'clock, former Baylor quarterback Jeff Watson, Sikkim 365 Radio.
It's the kickoff savings event at Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac. All 2020 vehicles on the lot are priced to move now. And if you're looking for the best truck, well, you want a GMC. During the kickoff savings event, qualified buyers will score huge savings like $8,000 off on a 2020 GMC Sierra, or you can save $6,000 on the roomy 3-row 2020 GMC Acadia. Full of room and full of luxury. All 2020 3-row Buick Enclaves are now $8,000 off. If you're ready to step up and into some ultimate luxury and style, well, how about stepping on into a brand new Cadillac? Drive one of the exhilarating Cadillac SUVs like the XT4, the XT5, or the 7-passenger Cadillac XT6. Get yours starting today at only $35,900 at Richard Carr Cadillac, or you can find one of the best sedan values on the market with the exhilarating 2020 Cadillac CT4 starting at $32,995. And when you purchase a vehicle at Richard Carr, not only when you walk out of the lot or you look online, you'll see the big selection, you'll see the great prices as well, but when you do buy a vehicle, you'll also get a lot with that, including the car. You'll get free oil changes with the new purchase. You'll also get VIP priority warranty service on all vehicles purchased at Richard Carr Motors. They stand by to support all of their customers with award-winning service. Richard Carr Motors are the people you can count on, a local family dealer run by Baylor Bear alumni. They just want a chance to earn your business now and with every car that you drive down the road. Stop by their daily disinfected showroom and see their safety-focused staff, or they can bring the test drive to your home because your comfort and safety is Richard Carr's first priority. Find them online at richardcarr.com or Highway 6 at the Imperial exit.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Bird Culchin Ford has been in Waco since 1936. Ford, the #1 selling truck in Texas, 43 years running. And Bird Culchin Ford proudly supports high school football in Central Texas. And no better way to tailgate with a Ford than from Bird Culchin Ford, our sponsor of the Ford Tough Player of the Week. Locally owned dealership, online at bkford.com at 1701 West Loop 340 in Waco. The annual tent sale's going on right now.
Let's face it, some people just like driving around in the nude. Hi, Jay here from Pickup Outfitters to talk about those truck owners that know they have naked trucks but simply don't care. You'll hear them saying something like, I'm just driving around free and easy, nothing constricting me. Gross. But there is something that can entice almost any naked truck owner. Leather. I mean, they kind of go together, right? And Pickup Outfitters is an authorized dealer and professional installer of cat skin leather seats. So I'm asking you to do your part and help us end truck nudity. The next time you're near your naked truck owner friend, you can say something like, you know what would really be sexy on your truck? Leather. And they'll get that sly smile, and you know you've hit them in their weak spot. Pickup Outfitters installs factory matching leather kits or custom kits in just about any color combination for your truck or even car. It's the sexy thing to do. You can be part of the problem, or you can create a commotion with cat skin leather seats at Pickup Outfitters. 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
When we moved to Texas, we were like fish out of water. We didn't know anyone in our neighborhood until our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent came to the house. She was so helpful and reassuring, a friendly face with that Texan hospitality I'd heard about. When we purchased a Texas Farm Bureau insurance policy, we knew we were making the right choice. We knew our family would be protected.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
How often have you said it's time to get in shape? Every day, every week, every month, maybe for as long as you can remember? How about starting today? I promise if you'll just join Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness now, you'll thank me later. Hi, this is David Smoke, offering a variety of 40 group exercise classes every single week, including boot camp on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5:15, plus spin, body shaping, Pilates, yoga, and bar. And there's a free kids club as well. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness open Monday through Thursday, 5 to 10, Friday, 5 to 8, Saturday and Sunday, 7 to 7, and personal trainers, Christy London and Randall Corley. World-class tennis facility with pros Britt Coleman and Joe Rosa with lessons, camps, and special events. Spacious and clean workout rooms, locker room for men and women, both with a whirlpool and sauna, and now there's touchless bottle filling stations. No intimidation, tremendous camaraderie, an entirely new atmosphere, and yes, you can do this, but you have to walk through the front door. It's time to react today, not tomorrow. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Max Olson of The Athletic. Brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus. And best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
Well,
First down at Mark Cajuns. Peter LeBlanc takes it all the way for a 78-yard score.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
By the way, this in my hand is the Pick'em sheet. We'll have that at 4:45. High school football. Also, Hillsborough, Steve Hale. They're off to a 3-0 start. Hillsborough hasn't been good in a long, long time. Also at 4:30, Mickey Spagnola on the Cowboys. And now Max Olson, theathletic.com, covers college football, quite a bit of the Big 12 as well, and much more around the country. Max, it's amazing, and I'm happy for the players, and I'm happy for the coaches, but it's amazing how the Big Ten, the Pac-12 perhaps, and eventually others now have a way of finding that they can play. Is this just they screwed up and now, no matter what they say, realize they better get moving quickly?
Buddy, I don't know. I don't know how to sum up what just happened yesterday. I think the Big Ten stuff is probably a little bit easier to process because you kind of understand that ultimately the decision they made was a very unpopular one. The other Power 5 leagues showed it's possible to kick off the season. The pressure that's been on Kevin Warren ever since then to try and fix the problems that they had and deal with the testing issue, deal with the concerns that the president's had. Like, it made sense that ultimately, they ended up in the right place. I don't know how much they should be celebrated for that. I honestly, the whole war yesterday over praise and all of that, I just had no taste for. But the Pac-12 stuff is just baffling to me. That stuff doesn't make any sense.
Well, they went and got their governors involved, and it kind of got crazy there because they were saying one thing at 10 o'clock in the morning, and by 8 o'clock last night, it had completely changed. That seems to be it's going to be much more of a mess than anybody else, Mountain West or Big Ten, trying to open up.
I mean, you guys will get it. The players aren't even on campus at Oregon or Washington or Stanford, some of these places. These teams aren't even in the building right now. So Ohio State and other schools, they've kept working out and doing, OTA type stuff for the past few weeks. And they're still sort of ramping up towards the season, where you can understand how, okay, if you give them a few more weeks here, real preseason camp, that they'll be ready to go. Pac-12's not even close. And so because they're this far behind and we're already this far into September, I mean, what are you fighting for here? To try and play a 5 or 6 game season at the end of the year? I mean, it doesn't make sense to put one of those teams in the playoff. And then you certainly like, I don't know. I think the Pac-12 probably should just wait till the spring and try and make up the revenue they've lost by having games that have actual people in attendance. But they're, bottom line, their issues are way more complicated because of the restrictions in the state of California and the state of Oregon, and certainly all of the kind of political fighting that's going to happen around that.
So, Max, best I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, I know there's still a lot of things to sort through, but basically the Big Ten is going to be involved in the college football playoff, but the Pac-12 won't, right? So it's basically same as always, just the number of games will be different, and in the case of one conference, they won't be involved at all, which is kind of how it's been anyways.
That's a fair point, and I mean, you look at the Pac-12 this year, and I mean, Oregon's lost Justin Herbert, they've lost Penei Sewell, they've lost a lot of really good players off that Rose Bowl team. I don't know that they were going to be a playoff team this year. And then who else in that conference are you pointing to and saying, they're the real powerhouse this year? So maybe that would have been the case anyway. It's probably true. But that part of it is just crazy to me. I understand the Big Ten getting, landing where they landed yesterday. But for the Pac-12 to suddenly say, wow, let's get off our butts here and try and figure something out is just baffling to me. But that's kind of how that conference has been run by Larry Scott. It kind of goes back to the leadership there and the fact that they are just a mess.
Max, the opt-out, and I saw the young man from Ohio State who's a very good player, and we've seen even since some of this news has come out, I think another player or two, maybe from Oregon or whoever, has decided to opt out. I'm of the opinion that, the ones who opted out, even if there are some contacts with agents that's beyond what they normally would have as a senior in college or an eligible player, NFL eligible draft, that you give them a mulligan. They had news that they weren't going to play. They opted out. I think they should be allowed to come back. What are your thoughts about that?
I definitely agree. I think in the case of a player like Wyatt Davis at Ohio State who opted out, or Rondale Moore at Purdue, these guys, they opted out because at the time they made their decision, Kevin Warren and these folks have said, we're not revisiting this. And at the time, Larry Scott said that stuff too when they shut it down. And so those guys have to make the best decisions they can based on the information they had. And it's, in this case, it's the commissioners and it's the leadership of the conference that has sort of totally changed up what the information is and what the plan is. So yeah, I think you have to have a little bit of compassion for those guys if they want to come back, if they, were trying to go pro, but they suddenly now there's a season that's worth playing. I think you have to be understanding of that. I think the only hang up is for the guys that have signed with agents, just kind of what benefits have they received from being pro athletes already. And I don't know, is there some way to give that back or pay that back or whatever to kind of make it right? Some guys probably wouldn't come back, but I'm totally with you. I think it's not the student athlete's fault that they thought the Pac-12 and the Big Ten were not playing this fall. Everything from the conferences when they made the decision indicated they were focused on spring. So I think you have to be understanding with these guys and give them a chance to come back if they want to.
I mentioned this earlier in the show, Max. The spring thing always sounded to me like when you're listening to a politician tell you that they've got a great health plan, but they won't tell you what it is. That was kind of how the spring football thing was. Like,
we still
got
don't have a model.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we still don't have any. We still don't have any like semblance of a model of here's how it works for any of the Group of Five or Power Five leagues.
Max, with the Big 12, it was a bit of a rocky start to the season. No doubt Oklahoma and Texas looked really good. West Virginia handled a pretty bad team, but they looked good in doing so. Elsewhere, not so hot. Obviously, K-State loses. Texas Tech barely gets by Houston Baptist, who has a pretty amazing offense, but a couple big losses. Iowa State. What were your thoughts on the Big 12 just coming out of this first weekend?
Yeah, I think it's certainly there's sort of two schools of thought there. One of them is, is what Oklahoma and West Virginia and Texas did, is that maybe the best path forward to just sort of play an easy scrimmage type kind of opener and get, a ton of people reps and kind of try to come out of there healthy and take 2 weeks off and then get ready for conference play? Or, do you benefit more from playing a really good team? And we'll see that with Baylor this week. Certainly we saw that, for the cases of Kansas State and Iowa State. Does that help you more in terms of like your team playing at a higher level in October? I don't know. I'm really curious to see how that plays out. It certainly stings right now if you're Kansas State and Iowa State, but I think we're also going to get used to kind of throwing the records out this year. I'm not saying those losses don't matter. And certainly it did bring some, negative attention to the Big 12 on Saturday night and all that. And Kansas certainly made it worse, as they tend to do. But I do think we kind of are going to get used to this, that like, there's just going to be a lot of 6-4 teams and a lot of, there's just going to be, that's just how it's going to be this year. I'm not saying it's like the NFL where, you lose a couple games and it doesn't matter. In college football, it's still a small schedule and every game matters a whole lot more. But I just think maybe if you're Iowa State and you're K-State, you just say, hey, put that in the past and, we'll get a lot better off of it. And maybe ultimately when we look back on it, that loss doesn't matter quite as much. I don't know. I'm curious to see how that plays out over conference play.
Yeah, you almost wonder if there's a little bit of that. Well, I don't know. Voters, I'm not a voter. I vote in a lot of the awards, but I'm not a voter for the AP Top 25 or obviously. Right. So I don't know how I would think of that. And then, of course, you got to give Arkansas State credit, among others, that were able to be a part of that. So the Baylor-Houston game, I unless you guys can disagree with me, is the hardest, best non-conference game Baylor has played since they were obliterated in Fort Worth by TCU in 2010, not counting bowl games. They have not played a non-conference game against someone like this in 10 years. And they end up grabbing Houston, who can beat them, who ought to be one heck of a game. Your thoughts about the fact that they said, both teams, hey, Houston said, let's play Baylor. Baylor needed a game, let's play Houston, and the fact they got it done the way they did.
Yeah, really impressive. I thought the point that Max made on your show about just like it shines a light on kind of how silly the future scheduling stuff is, because this stuff, when you have a will, this stuff can be hammered out pretty quickly. And I'm glad this came together. I think this is an awesome matchup. I think it's an awesome challenge on both sides. I do think that, and I'm writing about this for tomorrow, but I do think it's just the actual matchup of it. Once you get past the logistics of arranging a game, it's a really interesting matchup. I think Baylor has a pretty interesting advantage this week in that as much information as you guys have gathered over this year, I don't think we have any idea how Baylor's going to line up and play this year. And I think that's a huge advantage for Baylor, because if you're Dana Holgorsen, you're having to watch LSU tape and Baylor tape and North Carolina tape and Louisiana Lafayette tape to figure out how are these guys going to line up and play. And so I think for this first game, it's an interesting challenge for Houston. I think Dan Holgorsen's in-game adjustments are going to have to be really good, because that's the advantage for Baylor this time is you didn't have a spring game. You haven't had really any public showing of here's what we're doing. And so at least for this first game, you've got that element of surprise. And I think Houston's a pretty good team. I think they're going to be much improved from last year. I think they just got a ton of players back. And so I think it's going to be, I don't have a great sense of who's going to win the game, but I think it's going to be a great showdown. And honestly, I think Clayton Tune's a guy that probably didn't get talked about enough this offseason. I think when he's healthy, that dude is a really talented quarterback.
Max, what an incredible weekend scheduling-wise it is for college football. It's just not quite what we're used to. But I guess, there is Miami-Louisville, which is a battle of, ranked teams, albeit lower in the top 25, but right there in like the late teens. But outside of that, I mean, it is pretty thin because of all the postponements and cancellations. Is there anything particular storyline-wise you're looking forward to this weekend, or a game perhaps?
Yeah, I mean, that's it. I think there's going to be a lot of eyes on your game at 11 o'clock. I think certainly be interesting to see if Oklahoma State comes out firing right away against Tulsa, if they look really, really good. Tulsa's, another fairly formidable group of five opponent when they play well. So that'll be interesting. I do think Louisville's probably, we're all going to have to, until the Big Ten and SEC get going here, I mean, we're all going to probably be watching a little bit more ACC football, especially this weekend. And, Miami-Louisville is a pretty good game. I think Scott Satterfield did a tremendous job in year one there. Their quarterback is a really underrated guy, Michael Cunningham. They've got some playmakers for sure at Louisville. And, that first test for Miami against UAB, they looked pretty good. Good to see Derek King playing again. I think that's a fun little matchup there on a very, ACC heavy weekend.
Max, you wrote a story on the quarterbacks that aren't being talked about enough. You have Matt Jones as one of the pictures on the face, Hill from South Carolina, among others. Anyone else that you want to discuss the feature? I know you did that back in the summer, but anyone else that all of a sudden this kid from South Carolina looks like he's going to grab that job?
Yeah, a little bit of a surprise there that the transfer from Colorado State beat out Galinsky for the starting quarterback in South Carolina. I do think, Cunningham's one of them at Louisville that I mentioned. I think that there's earlier this summer, just to give some context, I looked at, the best returning quarterbacks by the measurement of kind of total yards per play, basically combining their passing and their rushing plays. Mac Jones from Alabama came out number one by far in his limited usage last year. I think Cunningham at Louisville, Michael Penix at Indiana is going to be a guy to watch whenever they get back. In terms of, Clayton Tune's a guy that made the top 25, like I said, from Houston. When that guy's healthy, he can run a little bit, and he's got the playmakers he's got around him at Houston with Stevenson and all those guys back. I think are pretty interesting. It's funny though. Now that we're kind of getting into it here, we're actually getting to talk about football again, guys.
Yeah,
it's not
I know.
all COVID.
I know.
Kind of nice.
Thank goodness. Max, thank you very much.
Wait, Paul doesn't want to ask about Florida State?
I mean, they're terrible. I mean, James Blackman's the worst quarterback that God ever created.
That God ever created?
Yeah.
Paul, did they block a little better this week at least?
Not really. I mean, for a minute.
Not really?
I mean, it was this. They've schemed better so that they've figured out a way around it as much as they can. But James Blackman, here's the thing: he holds the ball for like 8 seconds.
Here we go.
8 seconds. Like, what are you? You're not riding a bull. Like, get rid of the ball.
If he holds
the ball, you ready
for
you ready for a little Chuba Purdy to get it going there?
Yes.
Wait a minute. If he holds the ball for 8 seconds, that means he's getting great protection.
Great protection.
Yeah, well, I mean,
that means the receivers can't get open.
Well, he's indecisive and he's not good.
Max, Desmond Howard. Can I do this, Craig, or not?
I really wish you would just let that go.
You got to
man.
let this go.
You really can't let it go, can you?
No, I can't. Okay, I won't. I'll leave it alone.
Smokey needs to watch Frozen.
Yeah. Max, thank you. Football this weekend, hopefully here in Waco at 11 o'clock with Baylor in Houston. Thanks for your time on Thursdays with us on Sikkim 365 Radio. Have a great weekend.
I think guys.
That's Max Olson. Every Thursday at 5 o'clock. Paul Catalina to my left, Craig Smoke to my right. Again, we're live not only with what you hear on Sikkim 365 Radio, but also because of a lot of hard work and still a work in progress. We are live with the video streaming from inside the studio here at Sikkim 365 headquarters on the corner of Martin Luther King and Elm Street. Right across the street, the Suspension Bridge, Martin Luther King Plaza, Doris Miller Memorial, and the Washington Avenue is right across the street. Basically, Washington Avenue coming north, you come across the Brazos, it becomes Elm Street. And so we're here. Armstrong Sims runs the mothership, and we're going to be here throughout. Now, tomorrow we're live at Mac People Stadium. We'll have the Connolly football game with Palestine. And they've had kind of a come-to-Jesus week at Connolly as they get ready for their game. I hate the fact there's a couple of good high school games that are canceled, Lampasas, China Spring, and Lexington and Yo. But there are games we'll pick at 4:45 today.
Well, it will be important for Connolly to look good because this is their last game for a couple weeks, right? So they were heading into they are heading into, I should say, the non-district game. And the way the last couple have gone, I think it's important for them to have a good showing. So, yeah, we will see tomorrow night against Palestine.
One thing they were going to do was going to play La Vega again next week. Of course, La Vega plays Fort Worth All Saints. We had the discussion with Don Hyde about that, but they are off next week, and then they have district begin.
Yeah, I don't think that would have been a good idea at this point.
They only lost by 3 there.
Yeah, but I think that team, I think they're going to need. I was there, obviously, yesterday talking to EJ Torres Luna, and I just get the feeling that they need this week and then maybe a week off to get some of those penalties and whatnot out of their system.
Maybe a little sometimes thinking too much about yourself rather than what's important for the program?
Yeah.
All right. There's been a lot of, listen, it's been a come to Jesus week for Shane Anderson and his program. They play Palestine at home. The game of the, I don't know about in the state because no 5As and 6As, another for a couple of weeks. In fact, there's scrimmages from 6As and 5As tonight around the area. The Argyle-La Vega game is so intriguing. Argyle went to Texarkana, beat Pleasant Grove, and scored 50 on them, 52 or whatever, 54. And La Vega just doesn't give up a lot of points. Their defense is so good. But Argyle can even score on La Vega. La Vega had Jordan Rogers, who played quarterback quite a bit. Nichols played as well. That's a great game, maybe the best game, best matchup as far as if you look at 1 and 2. That's a 1 and 2 game. In Division I in 4A, that's obviously an incredible matchup as well. Coming up next, the Cowboys on Sunday. Do they bounce back? What's the difference? What about Tyron Smith? Anything else? Mickey Spagnola will join us at 4:30. This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Don Shumidor. There's a picture of Don Shumidor's long, beautiful, glassed-in walk-in humidor, 48-foot walk-in humidor. And if you look through all the glass windows, it's sealed. There is a humidor that's loaded up with all sorts of amazing cigars. Some of the absolute best brands in all of the cigars around the world. Some of the best. Ashton, for one. Cohiba, another. Along with what you have with Christoph, Macanudo, Monte Cristo, My Father, Romeo and Julieta, Rocky Patel, which is one of my favorites. And on top of that, they also have CBD product that might help you if you need to relax or maybe sleep better. Don Shumidor with pipes and tobacco, coffee and tea, and coffee beans, of course, with all the flavors and aroma that you'd want. Don Shumidor and coffee beans in the Town West Shopping Center. Ask Ashley and Carol, both cigar aficionados. Tell them Smokey sent you and go by and pick up the cigar you want to smoke this weekend or maybe tonight while they're closed very soon, so you have to go by there in the Town West Shopping Center, off Valley Mills in Waco. Don Shumidor and coffee beans.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies,
if you or a
advice,
loved one or friend has been arrested and
that's why
you
Brad
can't afford bail, trust Terry and Chase Chapman at Chapman's Bail Bonds, covering Waco and McLennan County for over 25 years. Chapman's can bail you out anywhere with experienced, knowledgeable local agents who are committed to serving you professionally, respectfully, and with the highest integrity. Chapman's understands your privacy is important. Your freedom can be secured fast when you use Chapman's Bail Bonds. Open 24 hours a day. Payment arrangements available. Call Chapman's Bail Bonds. When you need help, 254-754-1603. When you ring, we'll spring.
How can we help you? That's a question we ask every day at American Bank. Hi, I'm President and CEO Dana Hassel. Our commitment to our customers is what drives us. It's why we've invested in new branch buildings and technology like ITMs that let you speak to a teller face-to-face from your car. It's why we work with local businesses, helping Waco grow and thrive. And it's why decisions about your accounts and loans are made here in Waco by people who know you. How can we help you? Find out at American Bank, member FDIC.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jeweler, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers
Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Mickey Spagnola of DallasCowboys.com. Brought to you by the First National Bank of Central Texas, with 5 locations to serve you.
Here we go, Sikkim 365 Radio, halfway through the 4 o'clock hour. We'll have Steve Hale, head coach at Hillsboro, today at 4:45 at our high school football pick'em as well. And then Jeff Watson and then Sam Bradshaw in the 5 o'clock hour. We're now joined by Mickey Spagnola, DallasCowboys.com. Cowboys playing this Sunday. Bounce back if they can from the loss to the Rams as well. Mickey, let's start with the health of the team. Obviously, we know the injuries. The Tyron Smith today not at practice or not practicing. Is this just kind of giving him a day off, or is this something that could be more to that?
No, he was out there for the part of practice that we were able to watch. So something must have happened or flared up. So kind of a stiff neck, I understand. And that's certainly somewhat concerning since it's Thursday. He didn't practice. And on the other side, La'el Collins still has to miss 2 more games before he's eligible to come off of IR. So, and then the guy that was supposed to be the swing tackle, remember, Cam Irving, he was placed on injured reserve with a sprained MCL and is expected to be out 4 to 6 weeks. So that's your top 3 offensive tackles did not practice today. And if I'm Dak Prescott, I'm going home and saying my prayers.
So, Mickey, with that, so they already had Cam Irving and then Terrence Steele. So do they maybe move some, if this is a longer term thing, do you start moving some people around a little bit, like to get your 5 best out there?
Yeah, I don't know if you're without those 3 guys. I don't know who your 5 best are. I know who 3 of them would be with Connor Williams and then Joe Looney and Zach Martin. But after that, you're looking at a bunch of guys that haven't played much in the league. Now they did sign Alex Light, an offensive tackle, had been in Green Bay. If I remember correctly, in 2 years he had played 16 games. I think 13 last year with the Packers. So I would imagine Mike McCarthy, still living in Green Bay, was somewhat familiar with him. So at least he's played, right? Terrence Steele played his first NFL game as an undrafted rookie against the Rams, and Brandon Knight, I think, played maybe 1 or 2 games. I would imagine from the guys that I'm familiar with, he's there, and then Alex Light's there. So yeah, that's a pretty dicey situation. I don't know if you want to, is it better to have Zach Martin playing tackle and then bring in somebody else at guard, which would be Connor McGovern, who's yet to play a game in the National Football League. So from a depth standpoint, it ain't very deep.
Mickey, how do you feel about the tight end position with the injury to Blake Jarwin?
Yeah, they're going to just kind of have to make do. There's not much you can do at this point. Dalton Schultz looks like he will be the guy. Blake Bell has been in the league as kind of a backup type tight end, special teams player. And, I'm guessing they kept this McKeon guy for a reason, rookie free agent, but he impressed them enough to put him on the 53-man roster. So I think you have to go with those 3 guys. And look, and not to minimize the tight end position, because I think if you have a good one, it's a really good thing. But if you don't have a good one, don't come out of the game and say, well, if I had a better tight end, we would have won the game.
So, they go on the road. It's not a road atmosphere because there's nobody there. But at the same time, it's a road game. They lose by 3 to a team that's probably going to be in the mix for the playoffs. But they smacked them last year, so that kind of, they play Atlanta. They lose this weekend, 0-2. We know the stats, Mickey, the percentages. You go 0-2, we know what it means. But they had chances. That's not enough if you're a Cowboys player, coach, or even someone who covers them and or fan. But in the end, what was the most, if there was something that bothered you the most? Was it the way the Rams came out and ran at them right away? Was it something else? What was the one thing out of the game other than the loss that you didn't like?
I didn't like the protection on Dak Prescott, which goes back to your first question.
Yeah.
If I didn't like that and Tyron Smith might not be there, we'll see how that works out. The protection has to be better. If the protection's better, then the execution's better on third down. You're not going to win a lot of games converting 25% of your third downs. Conversely, they allowed the Rams convert at 53% of their third downs. That you just can't have that. So they didn't have enough pressure on their quarterback, and I think there was just too many execution mistakes. Now, you can say, well, that was the first time with a new staff, basically for them with a new team, no preseason games. I get that, but the NFL doesn't sit around and wait for you, and Mike McCarthy knows it. So from that standpoint, that has to get better. And I don't think it was any one person that can fix it or a better performance by this person or that person. I just think from a team standpoint, they have to be sharper on offense and then much better from an execution standpoint on defense. And having said that, well, and I'm not trying to sugarcoat it, but they should have had the ball at the 15-yard line with 31 seconds to go with an opportunity to take 2 shots at the end zone to win the game or kick a field goal to send the game into overtime in a game that you just didn't play and perform very well. So if that gives anybody hope out there, then, let them have it. But I just can't believe guys that officiate games at that level fell for that flop. In hockey, that's a 2-minute penalty for flopping. Am I right?
It was a brilliant play by Jalen Ramsey, who was getting beat on the play to act as if he was being mugged.
It was a brilliant veteran move.
Yep.
You're absolutely right.
It was. Yep.
Throw your hands up, jerk your neck back, and it's like, oh, what happened? Oh, gosh. I can't believe they fell for it. And the worst part was after the game, you guys, when the pool reporter went in to talk to the referee, Tony Correnti, he goes, oh, that was the easiest call ever. You can see what happened, push off. And I'm going, boy, brother, you are going to hate to watch the replay of that game. That's why we need a sky judge.
Yeah. Well, Mickey, I'm doing a podcast every week with Orlando Scandrick, and it's funny when you ask a defensive back if that was pass interference, he's like, yeah, it was pass interference. It was absolutely the right call. So
yeah, and Scandrick couldn't get things right anyway, so, I take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah. But Mickey, Mike McCarthy, it only took him 1 week to make a very controversial decision. I personally, I thought I like that he's aggressive. I think in that particular game, that decision probably didn't need to happen. Am I off there?
I thought with that much time left to play, you were going to get another possession or two afterwards. So go ahead, get the game tied and see what happens. Now, I don't know if he had the thought that, my defense is not playing all that well. We haven't stopped them all that much, although they had stopped them the previous couple times. Maybe I need to get the lead here, make sure I have another shot at scoring a touchdown, and then put the pressure on the Rams to move the ball. Now, the other thought I had is he can qualify it by saying, well, if we don't make it, they're going to be at the 9-yard line. We have a better chance to stop them. Well, unfortunately, what was it, 2 plays later, they were at the 30 and ate up another 5.5 minutes of the clock before giving the ball up. So, yeah, you know what, guys, and I go back and look at that play, and I looked at it, and I know, CeeDee Lamb probably needed to take another step to make the line. But if you look at what happened on the play, two things that I noticed. Number one, Dak saw his slot receiver on the other side crossing kind of like a post pattern to the middle, and I think for a split second he thought he had a touchdown, and the linebacker stepped in the way or a safety stepped in the way, and he couldn't go there, so he comes down to CD, and by that time the pocket collapsed and he couldn't step into the throw. And if you go back in and look at it, the pass, CD's running laterally, right? And he had to turn his body to catch the ball because he didn't lead him. Well, the reason he didn't lead him was because Aaron Donald pushed Zach Martin into him, and he couldn't step into the throw, and he just kind of flicked it. Had the ball been in front of CeeDee Lamb, he would have caught it on the run without delaying, and Fuller wouldn't have had time to come in and make the tackle. So there was a bunch of things that took place on that play, and I know it came down to CD, and good for him. Somebody tried to say, well, did you make a rookie mistake? And he goes, no, it was a mistake by a rookie, meaning I know what I got to do. I needed to take one more step. So there was a lot of things that went on to make that call, in the end, the wrong call because it didn't work.
Mickey, just in terms of the matchup itself, how do you feel Dallas matches up with Atlanta or vice versa?
Well, from an offensive standpoint, if they can block them, I think they can score with them. Defensively, they better get after Matt Ryan. He threw the ball, 54 times? And he had three receivers that had 100 yards receiving. So if you give him time in the pocket, you're going to get into a track meet. You're going to have to outscore him. But I think if you can get pressure on him, that's the way you cover those guys. Julio Jones is a handful. Calvin Ridley's a handful. Their tight ends are pretty good. They like to use them. So to me, the key thing is going to be the Cowboys' pass rush. And they better come out of the game with more than just one sack by a guy who hadn't played in 5 years.
Thank you, Mickey. Appreciate it always. Thursdays at 4:30, Mickey Spagnola analysis and insight, background on things going on at Frisco at the Star. Cowboys lose their opening game in Atlanta coming up on Sunday. When we come back, we'll hear from Steve Hale, the head football coach at Hillsborough. They've started 3-0. It's been a while for Hillsborough to really win anything more than about 6 or 7 games, a long time. We'll have that for you. And also our high school football pick'em, Jeff Watson, former Baylor quarterback at 5, and then Sam Bradshaw breaks down the University of Houston for Baylor at 5:30. Deontay Epps walked in the studio here, the broadcast studio at MLK, and also Elm Street. We'll have a little note with him. This is Sikkim 365 Radio. For 22 years, Pickup Outfitters has been outfitting trucks. That's what they do, SUVs and vans, 220 Lake Air Drive, and of course, they continue to get really good at what they do, and so many opportunities, including a lifetime installation guarantee and free warranty assistance when you purchase and install something from what they have. Waco's Pickup Outfitter because they sell high-quality truck accessories at a fair price. Professionally install them to factory specifications, outstanding customer service. I remember one of the things that Jay Arrett said to me a few years back when he bought the business, that they wanted to make their bays the cleanest, most professional and detailed, that have everything you need, has everything you need when it comes to installation and taking care of your truck, your van, or your SUV. Pickup Outfitters, again, this is the good thing about them, the great thing about them. A limited time, Pickup Outfitters will instantly match the manufacturer's rebate on 20 different bed covers at a time of purchase. Get up to $300 in savings, and of course you can have that at Pickup Outfitters at 220 Lake Air Drive. A bed cover event open for business. Showroom is open. It's their service, sales, installation, free delivery in McLennan County. You go to createacommotion.com. It's Pickup Outfitters, createacommotion.com.
What season is it? It's truck season at Allen Samuels. Ram trucks are raring to go, ready to work and play, and all feature the best deals of the year during Ram Power Days. Come get your brand new Ram Lone Star at Allen Samuels with 0% for 72 and no payments for 90 days. Or choose up to $9,250 in bonus cash and incentives. Ram, the highest pickup owner loyalty in America. Shop, apply, buy online. We deliver. Ram Power Days at Allen Samuels.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, specializing in diagnosis and treatment of any and all sport-related injuries, celebrating over a decade of service to Central Texas. They tackle all surgical and non-surgical problems that arise from an active lifestyle. And when injuries sideline you, don't wait for Monday. Join us at 8:30 on Saturday mornings for a post-game injury evaluation clinic. Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. We get you back in the game.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T as board-certified physician consultations will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or go search Low T Waco.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family has expanded Baylor alumni program with hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country. You can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
Texas board-certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recall drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com. Principal office located in Houston, Texas.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
365 Radio app is sponsored by Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your 40 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
We will have our high school football pick-em here momentarily, but we're joined by Hillsboro head coach Steve Hale. He was most recently at Groesbeck, now the head coach at Hillsboro. They've opened up 3-0. And if you really look at the history of Hillsboro, they have had maybe a team or two that started well, but it's been a drought when it comes to getting past 6 wins or 7 wins. But right now, Hillsboro is focused on getting number 4, and Steve Hale joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. What do you see right now, Steve? I know this is not your first year, so that helps. What do you see right now that makes this better for you?
You know, we just walked out of our team meeting and we addressed everything you just talked about. You know, the years of Hillsboro not having good football. I think 5 times since '87 that we had a winning season. But the first thing we talked about is the past doesn't equal the future, and for us to be able to do something and all of us buying in doing the same thing. So we've got great team chemistry led by a great senior class. And that's the difference right now. It's year 2 with a lot of, them being familiar with our schemes, but also just playing hard and minimizing all the distractions. That's the most important thing. It's great leadership.
Chemistry is an odd thing. It's not something that coaches, you can't go into, the lab and make it. What was the key to this team's chemistry? Because it's not just about everybody being friends.
No, it's us being patient and understanding. I think what all football coaches, especially high school football coaches, is they want to prepare kids for life. And the most important thing is for us to be able to handle adversity. And with all the stuff, we're all been on the same playing field with the COVID and all the delays. But, we started a week later than everybody else because we had to shut down. So we just, the kids, when we were shut down, made a commitment to get to the park and continue to work on different things. But, it's just them truly having the desire to do something that hadn't been done here in a long time. And for that to take place, the negative thing about Hillsboro, like we've identified, is they don't really have a roadmap or a class or certain people they can follow. It's just believing in what our plan is and executing that every day. And that's the most important thing. Every day for us to get better. That's been what we're preaching all along, is every day for us to get better.
Coach, you mentioned some of those leaders, some of those upperclassmen for you. Who's been leading not only off the field but on the field for you the last couple weeks?
Thomas Pratt, everything starts with him, and John Boston on defense. Those are two seniors that are great players, but also just unbelievable leaders and take care of their teammates. I think the most important thing is we identify not to be a great player, but be a great teammate. And being a great teammate allows you to do whatever it needs to be done so the team's successful. And those guys do it in the community, in the classroom, and just 24/7.
You brought it up, so I can bring it up as well. It has been forever since Hillsboro, and you mentioned that Hillsboro really had a team that really did much. In fact, 85 was 9-2. That's the most wins that Hillsboro's had in the last so many years. And I'm not trying to beat a dead horse. It's just been a drought. The 50s and 60s, there were teams that had success. When you took the job, and you know that as well as anybody because you've been there, what did you believe you could do? And are you not ahead of schedule because last year you're 3-8, but what did you see that made you think you could turn it around?
That's the only reason I took the job. I'm from here. I came here with Coach Brian Irwin in 98. We turned it around there. We were able to win and win the last playoff game. I mean, we won the playoff game in 01, which was the first time in 46 years. So just the pride of being from here, knowing the kids, knowing the community, and then raising the expectations of the community. It does no good if our expectations are high and the community's not. Last year, several games, 4 games, we should have won. We're playing Grandview. We're 7 points with 10 minutes to go in the game. And then last year we find a way not to win the game. And this year we found a way, and we've been in some close ball games, and then we're able to separate second half. But just, taking pride in enjoying the fact that you're going to do something that's going to change the culture of Hillsboro forever. There's nothing, the foundation and different things that these kids are laying, hopefully will benefit the kids that are in the program from 7th grade, the 9th grade, and continue 1 year at a time to build a successful program.
Yeah, just imagine that feeling when you get to where you think you can be and possibly get there. A 3-0 start, Gatesville this week. Then you get a bye week, I guess, to get ready for district play with Glen Rose and Godley and some of the others. Steve, thank you very much. We appreciate your time. Good luck with Gatesville. Good luck moving forward. As you said, it's been a long time. They've been playoff bound, but then have not been able to compete during that time in a while. Thanks for your time, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you for having me.
Steve Hale, head football coach at Hillsboro, took the job because he was there. He understands it. He knows the challenge, and he took the job because of it. All right, let's go to high school football. Pick 'em right now. I am up by 2 over Brian and over Paul. Craig is 3 back along with Grayson. And Deontay and Dylan have a little room to make up. Deontay, Dylan, Brian, and Grayson just sent me their picks, so here we go. All right, let me get us down to our 3 columns. And, Paul, we will start with you. Argyle and La Vega.
I'm going to go with La Vega. I'm going to ride with them until they lose.
I'm going Argyle.
Yeah, I here's the thing with the quarterback situation or not. Argyle can put up points against anybody. I love what Don Hyde does. We know that, but I'm going to take Argyle. They're at home. They scored 50-plus points against Pleasant Grove.
Yeah, I think La Vega's really, really good, and their defense is really good, but I think keeping up with the scoring potentially is going to be problematic.
Yeah, and now they might be able to pound the rock with Walton and company and see what Jordan Rogers can do carrying the ball as well. All right, Craig, Stephenville at Melissa. This has not been a good start for Stephenville.
No, it has not, and, man, I don't know too much about Melissa, but I'm going to go ahead and go with Melissa.
I am too. I'll go with Melissa. Paul?
Yeah, I'll go with Melissa.
Lampasas and China Spring. I'm curious. I would have taken Lampasas.
Yeah.
I would have, just because the firepower, and China Springs got a whole bunch of it.
I think it would have been a shootout. I think you would have.
Who would you pick?
I was a pick Lampasas.
Okay.
But
I was going to pick Lampasas, yeah.
All right, so it's my turn. Grandview at home against a really pretty good team at Glen Rose. Remember early on they beat Springtown to start the year. We saw them last week, and I'll take Grandview anyway.
I'll take Grandview.
Yeah, I'll take the Zebras.
Okay. Paul, this is your game. We just had Steve Hale on. Hillsboro at Gatesville.
I'll take Hillsboro.
I'll take Hillsboro.
I'll take Hillsboro as well. Salado at Mejia. I'm telling you, this is going to be a great football game. This might last an hour and a half. They both run the slot T. Mejia's Tristan Abram will join us tomorrow. They have changed what they've done. It has not been easy. They've had to bang away at the mentality of the spread. They're going to the slot T. They've gone it. They beat Navasota badly.
Yeah.
And it's not your turn. You don't have to worry about it yet.
I was just going to say, I remember not liking the slot T at like a point in my youth, and then I became a broadcaster, and now I'm in love with it.
All right, Craig, this is your game. It's Salado at Mejia.
Man, I really had a hard time. I'm going to go with Salado, though.
I tell you what, the difference might be Salado's defense. Mejia is going to make a run. This is going to be a hell of a football team.
Yeah.
I talked to Ronnie Porter, head coach at Troy. I'll give you this insight. I said, what do you think happens? He goes, Mejia blew me away with what they did in Navasota, but you could see that they have the skill guys are starting to buy into the system. The difference might be Salado just a little bit better on defense, but they did give up a bunch against Stephenville. I'll take Salado. Paul?
I'll take Salado.
I appreciate the insight after I made my pick.
Well, no, you already picked Salado, so you got it right. Robinson, they're in the free fall. Fairfield, of course, has had one game that was canceled. Fairfield at Robinson, and I'll take Robinson. I'm not feeling good about it.
I'm going to take Fairfield.
All right.
I'm taking Robinson as well.
All right.
I don't feel good about it either.
Paul Rogers at West. This is a good one in 3A.
I'll take Rogers.
Craig?
I'll take Rogers.
I'm going to take West. Rogers, that was a great win for Coach Roten. I mean, they beat, who was it? It was Whitney. Mm-hmm. Beat him badly. I'm going to take West.
Actually, I'm taking West. Sorry,
okay.
I said the wrong thing.
All right, so Craig, West. Paul, you have Rogers. All right, this is it's your turn, Craig. Mart at home against Whitney.
Mart.
Yeah, Mart.
Well, Whitney was beaten. It's no sense.
If they didn't get blown out last week, then maybe you entertain it a little bit more. But the fact that they had the big first week win and then just got demolished last week.
That's a great win for Rogers to turn it around. All right, this is the one I'm not sure about. Lorena coming off the COVID week. Madisonville. It's the only game I had not pre-picked.
And it's your turn?
Yeah.
No.
Man, Ray Biles' team fights through things, don't they? But they have a lot of players, I think, out. I'm going to still take Lorena. I know that might be a bad choice, not because we don't like the Leopards. I think they have JV guys that have been brought up for this week because of COVID. I'm going to still take the Leopards. Paul?
I'll take Madisonville.
All right, Craig?
Let's take the Mustangs.
Madisonville.
They are the Mustangs, right?
Yeah. Buffalo, home against Teague. Paul?
I've been all off on Teague this year. I haven't gotten, we've picked them, 2 out of the 3 weeks, and I don't think I've gotten them right either time.
Last week we had them against Madisonville, beat them 24-7.
Yeah. I guess I'll go with Buffalo just because I don't,
All right,
I
Craig?
haven't picked them right.
Buffalo.
All right, I'll take Buffalo. All right, Craig, Belleville at Rockdale.
Taking Belleville.
I'll take Belleville.
After the Cameron Young
All right,
thing,
Franklin at Troy. I'll take Troy. Paul?
Troy.
Craig. All right. East Bernard at Shiner. Craig?
I'm going East Bernard.
I'll take Shiner. I always miss this game every year, so that means East Bernard wins.
I'll take
Shiner.
East Bernard.
All right. Llano at San Saba. Craig?
Llano.
Paul?
Llano.
No, I'll take Llano. I already was on it. Okay. Riesel at Bosqueville. I'll take Bosqueville.
I'll take Bosqueville.
I don't know what Bosqueville's even done much this year. It seems like they've just been out there. Craig?
No, if you go by records, Riesel has the better record, but I'm going to go with Bosqueville.
All right, it's Paul, your turn. Holland at Crawford. Oh, my goodness, what a great 2A game.
I'll take Holland.
Craig?
Yeah, I'm going to take Holland.
I'll take Blum, and I'll take Jonesboro. Paul?
Jonesboro.
All right, Craig?
Go Jonesboro.
All right. And I've got all the other guys' picks. I'll write them in. We'll get it up on the Excel file. 4:59 coming up next. Former Baylor quarterback Jeff Watson. He was a part of the last Baylor win against Houston. The last time they played in 1995, 47-7. This is Sikkim 365 Radio.
Brotherwell Brewing, our newest sponsor this week, and they are right down the street from our location here at the studio. They are on East Bridge Street, which is just, like 2 blocks from here. And if you are a fan of craft beer, then you'd be a fan of Brotherwell. And if you are a fan of craft beer that's made in your community, then that is what they do. They make fantastic craft beer right here in Waco. On Saturday, they'll be out next to our tailgate at the Brazos parking with Sikkim 365, so they'll be there. So you can go and get your pregame refreshment there or stop by and get curbside service. Just call up, tell them what you want, and they'll bring it out to you, and you can take that to the game or back home. Like the Act of Faith, a Belgian-style triple, Shelter and Haze, Low Earth Orbit, Hidden Herd, the Fest beer, which is their Oktoberfest-style beer they just released. So that's their take on an Oktoberfest-style beer. That is really awesome. And, of course, the Texas Forever, a red IPA that balances piney, bitter notes of IPA with a malty balance that gives it a subtle red fruit character like grapes and even peach. Brotherwell Brewing on East Bridge Street, or check them out next to our tailgate at Brazos Parking with Sikkim 365 on Saturday.
It's the heat of the summer, but the real heat is what you're cooking on the grill, smoker, or in the oven. So Waco Custom Marketplace can be your go-to playmaker for summertime grilling. You can't go eat anywhere else? Be your own chef with custom ordered and cut ribeyes, sirloins, fillets, New York strips with a focus on high-quality beef at a competitive price. Waco Custom Marketplace also has fresh deli cuts with sliced turkey, ham, pepperoni, or corned beef. Waco Custom Marketplace also your home for the freshest seafood in town. Salmon, shrimp, mahi-mahi. Great priced chicken products, whole birds, tenders, chicken breast, and wings. Waco Custom Marketplace with smoked items unique to Waco. House-made bacon, summer sausage, boudin, hot links, and German sausage. Every seasoning for every occasion, grilling, baking, or frying. Your hometown grocery store with canned goods, pasta, fresh baked bread, buns, chips, sauce, condiments to pickles, charcoal and lighter fluid, cold beer and wine. Best kolaches in Waco, mouth-watering cinnamon rolls, and here for the community every single day, helping you avoid the long lines in crowded stores, serving quality products to the Waco community. Go online for the weekly value boxes. Family owned and operated Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717, or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel & Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel & Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel & Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
The 5 o'clock hour is brought to you by Edward Jones and financial advisor Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
There's a pass over the middle in the seams. It's Fleets. He's fleet of foot, and no one will get him. Touchdown, Baylor.
This segment on Baylor Athletics on Sikkim 365 Radio is brought to you by Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, located at the Imperial Drive exit off Loop 340 in Waco. Proud supporters of all Baylor Athletics. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
All right, here we go. This 5 o'clock hour. Bottom of the hour, Sam Bradshaw will break down Houston, Dana Holgorsen, and the Cougars and what they have with Baylor coming up on Saturday, 11 o'clock. Our pregame show, Saturday morning, 9:30 to 10:30, will be here. And then a postgame show with Grayson and JD and much more following the game as well. That's on Saturday. Right now, this is Thursday. We're joined by former Baylor quarterback Jeff Watson on Sikkim 365 Radio with Craig Paul. And I'm David Smoke. So, Jeff, when the Houston game was announced, the first thing I did was go back to the last time they played, knowing it was prior to the Big 12, and that was also a game you started, and you beat Houston 47-7. We had Pierce Pegros on earlier this week, and now we have you. What do you remember about the game, because that's the last time these two schools met?
For having me on. It's a pleasure to be with you guys. I remember a lot from I believe it was my freshman year when we played them at home. There was a safety that I went to high school with, so I had some history there. And I remember the Astrodome only had like 15,000 fans in it, when we won 47-7. So it was pretty empty, and we got after them. Our defense was phenomenal my freshman and sophomore years, so that's why they only gave up 7 points. And we had some high-powered offense. I just remember scoring a lot of points. And it was a real positive game. And relatively, I don't know how many years after it was that I just remember growing up, Houston was so good.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in College Station and Klingler and all those guys. So I was surprised. We expected a little bit more out of that game, but it was great to win 47-7.
So Pierce had that long touchdown. What do you remember about that play?
I got lucky, threw it to the fastest guy on the team, and he took it in. We did so much. I don't remember if it was an option down the line where I dropped back and I threw it, or what he did. He did crossing routes, really good square ends, and he took some of the house. He took one of the house against Mississippi State. I remember. So I don't remember that play specifically, but I'm sure it was a go route off an option play or a deep end. He took to the house down the middle.
I'm curious because we have so many former players on, but I don't think I've ever asked this. How much do you remember certain plays, certain things, even still to this day?
It's give and take. I took my fair share of lumps when I played, and especially my first couple of years when we ran the option so much. It was live over practice on me, so there was no red shirt then. So it was live. But I remember a lot about certain games, and then my last year we were 2-9, so I think I blocked out some negative stuff. Probably that was a tough year with Dave Roberts coming in, our staff getting fired, and just how it is to be a senior in a transitional time. But it just depends on the game. Early on, I remember a lot from my freshman year. I remember a lot from my senior year, but in between, it gets a little fuzzy sometimes. But always remember the good stuff.
How did you beat Texas that year? That was the year where they had Makovic. Was that the year he got knocked out after that? They had the Big 12 championship? So
it is.
Yeah.
They beat Nebraska in the Big 12, which everyone was shocked. I just remember playing Nebraska, just how good they were. Grant Wistrom, they had draft picks. Jason Pierce, they were loaded. And I remember how good they were. and I was shocked when Texas did win that game. But you're right. Richie Williams was, I think, a sophomore maybe. McAfee got fired after the year. I think they went 6-5, and that was one of our 2 wins. We beat Fresno State earlier that year, kind of early on, and we showed some signs of being a good team at times, and then we struggled obviously. But beating Texas, we tore the goalpost down, and that was I still have the game ball in my office, so that was a special moment. At least get one win against those guys.
You played, or you were a part of a recruiting class. Of course, you came from A&M Consolidated, which was a very, very good program. Ross Rogers was the head coach. He's now he's been at Bryan and a great guy, Central Texas ties. This was a class that included not only you, but Gerard Douglas. You had some dudes. Anthony Overstreet, who I covered when I was at East Texas at Tatum, was a hell of a football player. Not everybody ended up being as good as perhaps projected, but you did have a nice little start. What was it like to be a part of that class?
Oh, that was special. I was actually thinking about that the other day. Old Baylor coach Ian McCollum, which I have ties to. I was actually at Middle Tennessee State as a graduate assistant and was under Larry Fedora and Joe Wickline, and Ian McCollum was the coach, head coach when I was there at MTSU. But it was special. We had Derek Fletcher, we had Michael Johnson, the tackle, we had Gerard Douglas, which I think was one of the most special running backs that Baylor's had, that just for some reason it didn't, injuries or whatever, but talk about fast and speed and doing some moves against our defense in practice that I was flabbergasted. But Overstreet, we had a great class. I actually think some people had us in the top 10 of that class. And, Baylor was building about that time, and it was a place that they told me I could come and have a chance to start early. I didn't envision us running the option as much. I thought we were going to be a little bit more wide open, like my high school was at A&M Consolidated. But, we had a terrific class. And you know what? That's probably the thing I was bummed out about the most is after my senior year, I didn't fulfill up to my standards. And from a winning program, I was 40-6 as a starter in high school, won a state championship, played for another one. So winning, I was accustomed to it. So even going 7-4 my first 2 years, it seemed like, oh, that's not good enough. But yeah, there's no doubt I felt, and I'm sure many people felt like, not that it was we underplayed or didn't live up our potential, but we could have done a lot more with what we had, and that really is a bummer. That's probably the thing that I look back on and go, I wish I could have won some more games. I wish I would have played better. I wish I had more talent. And because we had some special people around us those years, that's for sure.
Jeff, I know you said that, running the option wasn't exactly what you expected necessarily, but I've found that, if you look back at like the great Nebraska teams who ran it to perfection, there's nothing prettier than a great option. Like, did you learn to love it over time? Did you never kind of like it? Just how did that sort of go with you and your relationship with the option?
Sure. Jack Crow was our offensive coordinator my first 2 years. And he came from Arkansas. In high school, I ran an open offense, much like what Fedora's running, one back open, spread shotgun. That's about the time when Art Briles was at Stephenville doing it. Actually, Art Briles was the head coach of the All-Star game, and we played him my senior year, so have some connections there. But, we did some – in high school, we didn't do any ride the side, triple option, read the end, read the tackle, things. We did more give and go, or just a straight speed option where you're just reading the end and you're pitching it to a back. So it was a lot different system. And I think after that learning curve, I remember Jack Crow push off, ride the side, and how it became second nature because we practiced it so much. Read the tackle, then go from the tackle, read the end. And of course, I wasn't the fastest, so I was always going to pitch it. Even if I had a lane, I was going to get open and pitch it to the running back and finish it off. But, I got accustomed to it. It was second nature, and I felt like we got pretty good at it. We had some explosive offenses my first few years, and how much I appreciate it. But the passing game, a lot of third and long situations were given to a back, or when there was truly a passing situation, they knew what it was. So I think our favorite run play on third and long was the draw, and our favorite run play on first and 10 was the draw, and then the option cut in between. So you had 1 and 2 man routes, really standard stuff, or fake the option, go down the line, and then throw it deep to John Stanley or some other talented receivers. So, you know what? It was okay. You take kind of a beating, but it wasn't the true option wasn't where I came from. So there was a learning curve there. There's no doubt.
What do you think? You mentioned Wickline and Fedora earlier. What do you think about them on the staff now?
I'm ecstatic about it. As I mentioned, I was a graduate assistant on the offense with Fedora at Middle Tennessee State. And, of course, I was directly under Joe Wickline. I worked with the offensive line, which really opened my eyes. And why I'm not coaching today, I don't know why. Don't even ask me how I got out of it. But it was special. And I think really big things. I mean, I think Larry Fedora is one of the best men and coaches there is. I think he's going to do some special things for the offense. You're going to see a lot of things. I think Charlie Brewer is going to be outstanding in this offense. And with his multiple sets, up-tempo, one back, and his looks, I think there's – and Joe Wickline, as far as the zone, inside zone, outside zone, he is phenomenal. He's definitely probably the best offensive line coach I've ever been around. And Coach Wickline was offensive line coach my senior year, and then he went to Middle Tennessee State, and then I coached under him. So I got to see what he was about up front, you know, and personal. He's special. I think those two guys getting back together, their time at Middle Tennessee State, at Oklahoma State, at Florida, and now kind of back together where they're at now, I think it's going to be a great offense to watch, entertaining. I think they're going to put up a lot of points.
You were a part of the last team that had gone to a bowl game where it looked like Baylor was going pretty frequently. Of course, you went back-to-back years under Coach Reedy, and then all of a sudden there's a drought of a decade and a half. And the last guy to start at quarterback for Baylor for a bowl team, and you have to go all the way back to 95 or so. And then they finally now, if they're not, it's a surprise. Matt Rule's 1-11. Obviously, Art Brow's first couple of years, 4-8. Did you ever see that Baylor would be through that kind of a drought after you left?
Absolutely not. Now, I will say right when I left with Dave Roberts, and I don't want to say anything derogatory about anybody, but he wasn't my most favorite person or coach in the world. I'll just leave it at that. And I think that was a kind of a downward spiral, and I said, man, things aren't going good. The program internally looks like it's not going the direction that they were used to. So immediately, I saw maybe they might struggle for a few years, but I did not see the long-term drought they had. And even for myself, starting in the Alamo Bowl as a freshman against a very good Washington State team, which we lost 10-3, and I did not have a good game. I was like, we're going to go to the bowl every year. I'll make it up at the next year at the bowl. Well, that's the last bowl game I played in, and like you said, there was a long draft that I did not see it coming. I thought Baylor had too much talent and already built something really strong in their program. And, of course, huge drought. Very disappointing. I hurt with the program. I didn't go back for many years and didn't see it personally, but I always followed them. And that was a tough time. That really was. And not winning maybe 2-3 conference games in 10 years or whatever it was. It was quite humbling to see you're a part of the program at that time.
Jeff, why did your mother cry when you committed to Baylor?
Oh, man. My mom, Betty Watson. Shout out to Mom. I grew up in a Baptist family, and Baylor was really close to College Station. It's an hour-and-a-half drive down Highway 6. And, I went to LSU my first visit, and I had some, fit up to Arkansas and some other schools. But I think she just felt something special with the being on campus. They drove up on a Sunday, and I committed. My mom got very emotional, and of course I got emotional. And we just everything Baylor told them and what she thought about the institution, the Christian beliefs. I think that's really what. It also being close. I'm a mama's boy, so she was excited they didn't have to go real far to watch you play football. So I think that's why she got us so emotional.
That's awesome.
Well, that's a good reason. Now, you're the area sales manager for Atlas Utility Supply out of Fort Worth, and you've been that way for the last nearly 5 years, an oldest waterworks supplier in North Texas since 1964. How did you get involved in that business, and tell us a little bit about it?
Sure. I got involved in the water utility business back in 2010. After I left MTSU, applied for some jobs, kind of go up the ladder, go to junior college or whatever. Well, I moved back to College Station, went and worked for my dad, and then worked for his company for about 8-9 years. then the housing market went down, so I moved to a different industry. So I got into that. I was a national sales manager for a different company in the waterworks industry that does basically cleans water. But a guy actually saw my resume, and he called me and said, "Are you Jeff Watson, the quarterback from Baylor?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's me." He's like, "I've got to meet with you." Well, his name was John Byram, and he ended up hiring me at a place called Blue Earth Labs and kind of got in the industry. And of course, when you have connections and you have some success, you kind of want to stay within that industry. And then, like I said, 4 or 5 years ago, Atlas Utility Supply hired me to really be the growth arm of the company. I called down in the Austin area, East Texas, West Texas, and of course have some accounts up in North Texas as well. And we have a great product. We do water meter equipment as far as automation for metering infrastructure, water utility stuff. With all the technology and the software and things these days, it really is a great time to be in that industry, whether it's energy, electric, water. So I'm very comfortable where I'm at. I work for a nice, small but big company, great family organization, the Johnsons, and I'm extremely happy where I'm at. Now, I miss college football, and there's a lot of times like, gosh, I should have went into coaching. I should have just stayed the course, but very ecstatic for where I'm at now, and had a lot of success, so it's been really good to me.
For those that don't know, your wife, Andrea, is a police officer for 23 years, a detective in our narcotics division. You say she's one of my heroes, and I'm lucky to be her husband, but this is a tough time in the police officer business. How has she handled all of what's being said, and how have you handled supporting her?
You know, it's been really rough. You know, you see things on social media, and you see things going on in the world too. And for that matter, police brutality is just wrong. And having someone on the inside that is a human being and that understands it from all directions, from a civilian side, from a race side, and also from a peace officer side, it's really difficult because you know that it's much more than what it may appear to be on the outside. So I've just seen, you know, the things they're saying about police and law enforcement. It's hard, but she's a rock. Like I said, she's tougher than me. She's smarter than me, and she really is a focused individual. And like I said, I'm lucky to be her husband. And yeah, it's tough times. You know what? I think there's some good to come out of something negative, and I think we're going to make a turn for the better. And I think that'll all get fixed, and training will be there, and you'll have some healing that goes on down the road here pretty soon.
Jeff Watson played at Baylor in the 90s, went through the Chuck Reedy, Dave Roberts regime. And the last question for you is that you now see what Baylor's done. I was putting together a list of the last, 10 or 11 years since 2010, and other than the disastrous first year with Matt Rule, as there was that changeover, they've been in the bowl. They have had a really good run since 2010. They've also been through some difficulties as well, as you know. Your thoughts about your alma mater when it comes to football, and your thoughts about this team with Dave Aranda, Charlie Brewer, and as you mentioned, Larry Fedora.
Oh, the program has, the things that it accomplished when Art Briles was there, and even Matt Rule. I thought Matt Rule was a fantastic coach. I think he's a genuinely good human being. I think his values were honorable, and he was doing it right, and that's what they needed the most. And I think the head coach is a fantastic coach. He has a defensive background. He's a leader. He comes from a winning program, and he can recruit. All the guys on this staff can recruit. In this Fedora, I think he's going to be able to. I can't speak to defense as much. I know Baylor has 9 upperclassmen starting on the offense and 7 or 8 on the defense. So I think that experience, even though they lost some starters, is going to be a great thing for him. I think Fedora's going to do some special things. I know he's been out of the coaching limelight for a few years now, but you're going to see multiple spreads. You're going to see a lot of one back, tight end. You're going to see a lot of motions. You're going to see a lot of creativity. He's all about balance. And balance doesn't necessarily mean run past 50-50. Balance is be balancing the game and whatever it takes. He may go out and run 70% of the time in the first half, and the second half it's only 30%. Or he'll spread it out and make some easy throws and get people in space. So I expect them to put up a lot of points. I think their defense is going to be improved. And I think the program's in good hands. I really do. I think really highly of the people I know on the staff. And, I think they're going to compete for the conference championship and do some special things in the postseason.
Jeff, thanks for your time. Appreciate you responding to me last night. Appreciate your time. Good luck with what you're doing with the business. To your wife, with what she does with the police and officers. And thanks for your time. We appreciate it. We'll see you soon.
Oh, thank you guys so much. God bless you all.
That's Jeff Watson, former Baylor quarterback, and sounds like he's doing really well with his business and being a spouse of a police officer and his view of that.
You know, the first time I heard of Jeff Watson, growing up in Florida, my dad used to get like an Aggies magazine, like an illustrated magazine that was like and it was before the web, and they had this article about how Jeff Watson, and they thought because he was A&M Consolidated's, state championship winning quarterback, he was just going to walk in the door and, at Texas A&M and didn't. And I remember the article with the guy, I still think of this day, the guy was like, well, that was a shocker. Well, I don't
even know what kind of recruitment, whether they were even on him.
But yeah, he didn't even mention them. And, so it was just kind of a weird thing to me that he tells that story. And I remember the article, I guess the guy who was writing it just assumed if you're good at A&M Consolidated, you're just going to go to A&M.
And they have produced, of course, some quarterbacks from that school. I think Tommy Preston was one. One of the things I remember what you're talking about, it brings back memories. I used to get Huskers Illustrated, and I couldn't wait for that to come in like midweek or early in the week, and to look back at the games, pictures, stories, and all that. And now, and I had hundreds of them that I kept over the years, and now, of course, everything is online. All right, again, Armstrong Sims runs the mothership. We saw Deontay drop in. Colt was here. Craig Paul. I'm David Smoke. When we come back, Sam Bradshaw, we will allow him to come out from underneath wherever he is to break down the University of Houston, their offense, what they do, what's going to challenge the Baylor defense with what we know or don't know. Sam Bradshaw, next on Sikkim 365 Radio.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. The summer savings event ended, but the kickoff savings event is still ongoing, and they have got a ton of deals for you as the kickoff savings event gets underway. That includes the line of GMCs, that includes the line of Cadillacs, that includes thousands and thousands of dollars off of a lot of different vehicles on the lot. How about this for savings? $8,000 off the 2020 three-row Buick Enclaves. They are full of room and full of luxury. How about $8,000 off a 2020 GMC Sierra for qualified buyers? Or $6,000 off the roomy three-row 2020 GMC Acadia. Also, with the line of Cadillacs, Richard Carr can bring the Cadillac experience to you. Drive one of the exhilarating SUVs like the XT4, XT5, or the 7-passenger Cadillac XT6 and get yours today starting at only $35,900 at Richard Carr Cadillac, or find one of the best sedan values on the market with the exhilarating 2020 Cadillac CT4 starting at $32,995. So thousands in savings and, of course, great customer service as well. They've got a big selection. They've got great prices. And when you buy a vehicle, you get free oil changes with your new purchase, plus VIP priority warranty service on all vehicles purchased at Richard Carr. They stand by to support all of their customers with award-winning service. They are the people you can count on, a local family dealer run by Baylor Bear alumni. They just want the chance to earn your business now and with every car down the road. So stop by their daily disinfected showroom and see their safety-focused staff, or they can bring the test drive to your home because your comfort and safety remains Richard Carr's first priority. Find them online at richardcarr.com or Highway 6 at the Imperial exit.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, hot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, and brimstone. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Hey, it's time to stretch your legs. Jeep Adventure Days are here at Allen Samuels. Get special financing on the granddaddy of Jeeps, Jeep Gladiator. Now at 3.9 for 72 and no payments for 90 days. Grab hold of Jeep's rugged subcompact, Jeep Renegade with 0% for 72. No payments for 90 days. Or choose up to $5,750 in cash. Let's get going with amazing deals from your friend in the car business, Allen Samuels.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Sam Bradshaw of Sikkim365.com.
Oh, that's good timing.
Yeah. we
cannot wait to show off this entire structure that we're in, this building, this business, this studio, the broadcast center, because there's much more to just the set. The set's the main core reason we're here. There are flat screens everywhere, including behind us, where Armstrong is set up to produce the show. There's a pop-up shop. There will be a ping pong table. There's going to be a lounge area. And on top of that, there's other amenities, including Balcones is going to bring 2 55-gallon drums, as we could use as kind of like our, stand around maybe.
End tables, yes.
Yeah.
we're going to have to get used to the timing and coming back on camera. Like when you're in radio, you can
live.
just. Yeah.
I mean, it's live, and sometimes Mother Nature calls. There's not much you can do about it at my age. Craig Smoke, Paul Catalina, I'm David Smoke, and my gosh, this is it. We have allowed him to get his beakers and his all his microscopes and all of this stuff. Let me ask you this, Sam, before we even get to Houston. I've been told by sources, unbeknownst to you, that you were in full panic mode because you had prepared for Law Tech. That disappears, and you really did not know how much time you had to find out about who was next. Is that true?
I don't know about panic mode, but I definitely was looking to any rumor just to at least get a little bit of a head start because I knew it was going to be a quick turnaround.
Do you panic on anything? Is there anything that makes you? I don't even know if you have enough. You seem to be a pretty chill guy.
I'm not the one out there coaching where if something goes bad, it's not fixing before 3 hours. So I think I can stay pretty calm here.
How much time did you lose because we didn't find out until?
Not too much. I mean, for a non-conference game, it's kind of tough, but for a conference, Holgerson was in the conference so long, It was really one side of the ball that was the majority of the research, and then just familiarizing with the roster.
All right, so you know who they are. They have Toon. He had all that time last year to get better. He's pretty good. They've got the receiver that scares the hell out of everybody. And we know what Holgerson's done wherever he's been and what he's going to do at Houston. Your thoughts about what the challenges are for Baylor against Houston this weekend?
It's going to be an interesting game. Houston's a team that has a lot of people coming back, but I think a lot of the hype behind Houston is everybody realized they were redshirting as many people as they could to kind of take a flyer on 2019 and set up for 2020. But two of the key pieces behind that, De'Aaron King and then the offensive tackle, both transferred to Miami. So two of their key positions, they're now having a lot less experience and possibly a little less upside at left tackle and a quarterback. But they've got a ton of transfers that come in on both sides of the ball. They had a ton of guys redshirt. So it'll be a capable group. The key thing I see with them is they have very explosive skill guys offensively, but they don't, at least after De'Aaron King went down, they didn't complete all that high a percentage of passes, especially for an air raid. Because air raid, you typically expect them to hit like 62% of their passes. I think they were like 59% here. And, you know, the touchdown to interception ratio was pretty close to even once Toon took over, which was not where you want to be. So I think he's a capable kid. He can run really well. I mean, he can run like Charlie Brewer, or he can run like a Nick Florence kind of guy. And I think he's got a solid arm, but I still think he's a little young in his development. And maybe he's a lot better this year. But last fall, there was some inconsistency. They struggled to protect him. I think it's going to be an interesting matchup to see how well that goes against Aranda's basically brand new defense at Baylor.
So with the defense of Houston, though, against Baylor's offense, I know that you haven't really gotten to, break down anything other than Larry Fedora, where else he's been. What do you think will be the biggest challenges?
Well, the biggest challenge I see on Houston's defense is that they're going to force the issue. They're going to be a lot like Bennett's scheme at Baylor, where it's a lot of cover four quarters, where you're asking a lot of your safeties and corners to hold up in single coverage potentially. But it also forces the opponent to have to deal with the skew in the passing game. And, if your pass protection isn't all that sharp because the guys haven't had as many live reps, or you've got a new group, or if your receivers and quarterback are a little bit off key, not on the same page in the first game, that can catch up to you pretty quick. But if Baylor handles their business, I think this is a group that they can have some success against. I know Memphis and UCF and a couple others really went after those safeties in single coverage, got them without routes, got them with faking the post and then going deep. They got them on a number of concepts, and they've got the same starters coming back, and they got a couple transfers who came in who will probably provide some depth. But I see that as a vulnerability, and Houston really didn't get to the quarterback all that effectively in 2019. So unless that's gotten a lot better, I really like Baylor's chances on that side of the ball.
Sam, what are you expecting to see with Charlie Brewer within this offense? I mean, I know the things that we've heard of trying to get the ball out quicker, due in part to eliminate some of the injury risk, but also just because that's what they want him to do. Obviously, an abundance of skill guys around him, an offensive line that we think is going to be better, but specifically with what Larry Fedora looks to do with his quarterbacks, what will be noticeable, you think, for fans as far as Charlie Brewer's play goes?
I think he'll be very comfortable with what he's being asked to do. As long as Fedora's been around, and I've seen any kind of tape on him, he does a really good job of tailoring his offense to who he's got. And Charlie Brewer is a guy that gives you a lot of the key criteria that Mike Leach wants in his quarterback. He wants a guy who makes good decisions, who's accurate, who's got good mechanics. And then if he can get that, he wants a guy that's faster, has a big arm. Everything except for the big arm is Charlie Brewer. And he's going to be able to execute that effectively because Fedora's going to build it around him. And even just kind of Fedora's basic scheme that he typically goes with the exception of a couple deeper concepts, Brewer's a pretty good fit for what Fedora wants to do already. So I see that being a pretty good marriage. I expect Charlie to be pretty comfortable. And I also think the offensive line is going to be a lot better. You effectively return 4 starters, and then you add Jake Burton, and you slide a guard to center, and you slide a tackle to guard, and you're right there. You've effectively got a 5 returning starter offensive line.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting because Burton kind of that's almost like the transfer you didn't expect. And do you feel like Baylor, with what Fedora does, they're going to have Lovett and they're going to have Ebner, and there might be even who knows what else we'll see. Do they have the ability in this offense to run the ball better than even the offense that was set up to try to run the ball better last year?
I think the offensive line improving is going to make that better than it was last fall, just regardless of scheme. But I also think that schematically, Fedora is going to give them a lot more to worry about outside of the run and be a little less predictable in that way. And I think based on that, they're going to get some friendlier looks to run again. Maybe not against Houston, who the defining characteristic I see on that defense is they don't want you to run. But, just with the offensive line progressing, I mean, as I mentioned last time, people forget that in 2017 they were like down to something absurd, like 5 linemen that
I think it was
were
6
on scholarship and
Yeah.
capable. And now you're sitting here 3-4 years later, and all of a sudden, a lot of those guys that were young then are grown up. You've added more guys, and you've got a bunch of 3rd and 4th and 5th year guys on the offensive line, and it's going to pay dividends.
Sam, how much easier does your job get next week when you have actual Baylor tape?
It'll get easier to observe, but as any opener goes, it'll be a lot of questions coming from the board.
Sam, Marquez Stevenson, you mentioned him earlier. Who is the best? I mean, I know like it all depends on what Ron Roberts and Dave Aranda want to do and all of that, but who do you think is like the best matchup amongst the secondary for him? How do you see them trying to limit him as best they can?
Well, part of it depends on what kind of formation they set up.
Right.
He plays the H receiver, which in a lot of air raid systems is kind of your slot receiver that's backed off of the line. So it'll probably be the star position or one of the safeties that'll typically have to draw him unless they use motion or unless they line him up outside. Ideally, you'd like to have Tejada or Barnes on him because I think both of them have enough speed to run with them. But if I'm Dana Holgorsen, I'm going to try and isolate him on that star, isolate him on that safety, try and get those guys responsible for him. And while I think Baylor definitely has some very fast safeties, I think guys like Christian Morgan can absolutely run. He's a really good receiver, and you'd like to get a bona fide corner on him.
Sam, when you sleep at night, do you dream of film, football, X's and O's and schemes? Is that what you have in your mind?
I'm not that crazy, Smokey.
Yeah, I mean, you make him sound like he's just like locked away in a laboratory.
I feel like you get into some dark room like the old days when they take pictures, Paul. Remember the old dark room that they had the...
And in reality, he's just like on a MacBook, just looking through stuff probably.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pressure on him. The fan base of Sikkim365.com, they want answers now. Like, they want to know right now about KU. They haven't even played Houston. And
Baylor fans or fans in general
are impatient.
They really focus in on minutia of things. Sometimes it doesn't even matter.
What did you just say?
The minutia.
No, that's true. That is true, and Sam is still on the line with us. But that is true because, like, for example, with the game getting canceled, or the home and home was announced for this game, and instead of asking about Houston or just the game being announced, it was like, when are they playing the next 2? And I'm like, I don't know yet. They just announced the freaking game.
It's the minutia of things they get obsessed with. Like, hey, listen, big picture, let's enjoy it.
Yeah,
right.
They pulled off in a day.
Yeah, they
did what takes years to work out.
Well, read Ross Dellinger today, SI.com. We were able to get a lot of insight from Mac Rhodes this week, but Ross Dellinger goes even deeper. Even Dave Aranda saying there's a lot of Chipotle wrappers around the coaches.
By the way, Ross Dellinger had to come back.
Sam, anything else is as far as Baylor? Like Charles Reed, he sends me these ranking system. He's really good at this. He's a local guy. What is it called? The Reed Preco point ratings. He has Baylor at like winning easily in this game with Houston. I didn't see that coming, and if they do, that's great. Anything in particular that you're more excited about watching? Is it the Fedora side of it, or is it the Roberts, Aranda, McGuire side of it?
It's definitely going to be the defensive side of it because I think that's going to be the bigger challenge in the game.
Okay, great.
And just keeping those explosive guys under wraps because in a first game, especially when you have spring and due to all the different protocols you're having to go through with COVID, the potential for somebody to mess up an assignment and one of their home run hitters take it the distance on you and make an otherwise comfortable win into a dicey situation. I mean, that's exactly what happened to SMU last fall. I mean, Stevenson went off for 2 long ones and Mulbacar broke a tackle and took it the distance for him as well. And that was 21 points in a game that came down to the wire, and that was a good SMU team. So that's what you worry about. And really, I think I have a better idea of what Fedora is going to do with the personnel he has, whereas Aranda is a lot more multiple and there's a lot more tools in the toolbox. But he has to be able to get 18 to 22-year-olds executing it without all that much practice time to be able to do it competently. So it's a bit of an either-or situation given that. So I'm really curious which way he chooses on that.
So Smokey here gave you what one analyst thinks Baylor's going to win easily, but what is your prediction? What is your expectation? Not so much, Sam, a final score, unless you want to give that, but what is your expectation for Saturday?
My expectation is Baylor's going to be the more athletic team. I think Baylor will win in the trenches. The score I'm going with right now is Baylor 34, Houston 27. But, under a more normal circumstance, I'd probably go like 37-24 or something like that.
Okay.
I think it'll be competitive. I think Houston's going to be a lot better than they were, but I do think Baylor is a more talented team. And I think a lot of the people talking about Baylor replacing so many people are overlooking William Bradley King, Dylan Doyle, how much experience a lot of those backups had, Jake Burton, a number of people that might not be included in how many people you lost and how many people you brought back.
All right, buddy. Thank you, Sam. We do appreciate your segment, all your work. I know the board, the site, they do as well. Thanks for your time. Sam Bradshaw, mad scientist, college football analyst with us on Thursdays at 5:30. It's his
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, it's his tone. It's a cerebral, like he went to Yale.
No, he likes football and he can break it down better than we can, that's for sure.
There's guys and there's others in the business that do it for various teams, and he's just really good at it.
Right, but there are guys that are like total film junkies that like lock themselves away for hours at a time. I don't think that's Sam, though.
Paul, if you and Craig, if we got locked into a room, which would be disastrous, but if we were, and we were for about 6 months there, but if we were and we had to not be able to leave, break down film, whatever we did, what wrappers would we have on the floor? What food group?
Chocolate.
Oh, man. Yeah,
Hershey's chocolate bars.
There'd be a lot of cans of Pringles.
A lot of Pringles.
Pretzels. There'd be a lot of pretzels.
Yeah, pretzels. Those toasty cheeses.
Armstrong, can you check in with us for a second? Are we up against a break, Paul? We doing okay?
Yes, we are. We need to take a break here.
Now?
Not now. Let Armstrong talk. And then
welcome back for day 2. You survived the first day, and we did allow you back, and we'll worry about tomorrow when we get to tomorrow. In fact, tomorrow, is Armstrong a part of tomorrow? He's not.
No,
I've been told I'm not.
No. Unless he wants to come in.
2 days in. You missed the cut. He missed the cut.
2 days in. We don't need you.
How's it going over there? We moved you because the eyesight, the eyelight's great. And this has gotten really video crazy here. We got a lot of things to clean up. But how's it been this first 3 hours of the way we did it today?
It's been good. It's been we had a rough start, but
what was the rough start? Oh yeah, the mic. Yeah.
The audio was out of sync for a while there on the video. But
so when we were talking 20 seconds later, we were talking of what we said.
Yeah, they could have just turned it on and just listened to the audio like normal. So, but the video, if they're watching the video, it would have been way out of sync.
Who gets fired for that, Paul?
That's probably, I don't know. It's
whoever. See you guys later.
Whoever didn't tell us. It was nice that we didn't find out until an hour in. Armstrong is so good. He fixed it in 10 seconds once he found out that it was going on, but we didn't know what was going on.
We didn't know.
We're going to have a couple of live guests. I know we'll have one, maybe 2 live guests in the studio Monday, so that's good. Tomorrow we'll be live at Mac People Stadium. We'll get into that and a couple of other nuggets. We'll update the U.S. Open. How did Phil's return to Winged Foot go today? Who's in the lead and who's lurking? This is Sikkim 365 Radio. At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of health care while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of health care has never been more important, And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs. Even offering financing if that's needed, everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Engel at the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like instant issue debit cards free at all of our banking centers, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
After my first car accident, I feared the biggest damage would be to my wallet. I expected a mountain of bills and a long, drawn-out process. But my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent was there when I needed her and helped me get back on my feet and in my car in no time. Instead of a hassle, I got reassurance and a quick recovery.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Waco's new and hard work are the driving force. State-of-the-art equipment, indoor and outdoor track, locker rooms, showers, yoga and bar classes by Duality Yoga, bod pod potty composition analysis, and registered dietitians, all under one roof where we rise above. Come join the Halo Athletic Center and be a part of the change, your change.
Sikkim 365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
All right, here we go. Loading up this Thursday show. Tomorrow we're live at Mac People Stadium. Connolly hosts Palestine. And we'll be there throughout the afternoon and also evening. Deontay Epps will be with us. Armstrong gets a break after dealing with us for 2 days. That's plenty. And we'll hopefully see you on Monday. Please don't be one of those that opts out. We can't have that. Now, we had a story earlier. There was a reporter that said that he thought Deion Sanders was the finalist or at least the leading candidate to become the head coach at Jackson State. And then a few people shot bullets in that.
Jackson State did.
Yeah, Jackson State itself.
Jackson State denied it, and it was apparently because they were not down the road far enough getting their deal with
welcome
Deion,
to bringing in a guy like Deion.
Yeah, so Deion Sanders is with Nike. Jackson State has a deal with Under Armour. Which, if this lasts very long, Deion Sanders head coaching, I would think that Jackson State will be with Nike. But they still have the
You think
deal
Deion will make that change?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, and so Deion Sanders, according to Ken Rashad, who first reported, and now Ross Dellinger, who says that multiple Jackson State sources tell that SI Now, the school, is finalizing a deal with Deion Sanders, and he will be their next head coach.
Right. So now we have head coaching, and in college basketball, you see that a lot with Adidas or Nike. You now have coaching searches affected by who they endorse as a shoe company.
And Deion Sanders, except for maybe his rookie year, has been with Nike his whole professional life. I mean, he's been a Nike guy the whole time.
Okay.
So he's
Good
got
for
a
him.
long
If he gets,
standing
he worked, he did that prime prep thing that kind of blew up because they didn't go by some of the rules. And I know his son plays at, I just mentioned it earlier, Cedar Hill Trinity, Addison, whatever it is.
Cedar Hill Christian.
Trinity Christian. And they just beat Malakoff, and I saw him do an interview. I reached out to him. He said, I can't because of Barstool. Well, that's great, but now you're a head coach. You got to do interviews.
Yeah.
You really do. And it'll be interesting, although Jackson State would be thrilled to have him, and who knows how many players might go there.
I was just impressed that he responded.
Yeah, I was too. I wasn't expecting that because when we've seen him at Radio Row, we've had him on a couple of times. He can be a little bit, but he did. He did do the segment. That was like in San Francisco. Where was that?
It was in Minneapolis.
Minneapolis. No, it was not Minneapolis. No, he wouldn't go into that building.
No,
all right, let's do a U.S. Open update.
Into the mall?
Yeah, let's do a U.S. Open update. Justin Thomas, who put up the 5 under early. Patrick Reed, Justin Thomas in the clubhouse at 5 under par. Patrick Reed, Thomas Peters, 4 under par. McIlroy done at 3 under. Here are some of the names of guys we picked or other bigger names. Xander Schauffele shoots 2 under. Bryson DeChambeau, 1 under. John Rahm, 1 under. Cantley, even par. Tony Finau, even par. Now, Webb Simpson battled back. At one point, I think he was 3 over. He ended up at 1 over par. Jimmy Walker, Baylor X at 2 over par. Jason Day, 2 over par. Now you have Tiger Woods at 3 under or 3 over. Jordan Spieth, 3 over, who nobody picked. Justin Rose, 3 over. And then the drop continues. How about, for example, Daniel Berger was 5 over, and I think even with like many holes to play, he finished 3 over par. Dustin Johnson, 3 over par. He's got work to do. Tyrell Hatton, 4 over par. Defending champion Gary Woodland, 4 over par. Tommy Fleetwood, 4 over par.
Well, I got 2 guys 4 over then.
And, well, that's going to be okay if they don't go 5 or 6 over tomorrow. Colin Morikawa is the one that gives Paul heartburn. 6 over par. He has no room for error. Now, again, I'm telling you, the cut's going to be within those 10 strokes or whatever. So if you go out and shoot a decent round tomorrow and don't go 4 or 5 over, and again, you can't do that. But here's the one that's got to be the killer. Phil Mickelson, remember, had the lead, the tee box, and blew it off the left. Ended up having the double bogey on 18, blew the lead. He's 9 over. Phil Mickelson, 9 over par. He started on the back 9, shot 42, had a birdie on 1 and 2, and then bogeyed 4 more down the stretch, and he's pretty much toast.
Well, and Phil is about a year away, maybe 2, from most of his stuff being Champions Tour.
Yeah, and he went out and lit that up when he was. Remember that? Yeah. So that's right now. Colin Morikawa puts you in danger. Right now, Craig's got Fleetwood and Hatton at 4 over par. That puts you in a little bit of danger. Bolton has Dustin Johnson at 3 over, and I have Berger at 3 over. But tomorrow, some guys could come out and shoot 79 and blow themselves out of the lead, whatever. It's a tough course. In the end, you see a guy go 500, okay, he's going to win 20 in the par. That's not the way it works.
Did I pick Colin Morikawa because he made the best shot of the year? I think maybe I did that. Maybe that was in my brain.
Hit a driver on a par 4, and he hit it about
the best golf shot. I mean,
yeah.
Armstrong's not going to – I mean, that was the best golf shot I've seen all year. And I'm man, I'm going to pick this guy.
No, you didn't do that because of that. You did it because he won the PGA Championship, and he's good. You did that because he's good. All right. Now, we have Pick'em done. Oh, yeah, the Charles Reed Preco. He had 39-19 Baylor. Man, that surprised me. He has Oklahoma State beating Tulsa 35-23. He has, by the way, Army beating Brigham Young 27-25. SMU 42, North Texas 27. I'm going to go over these sometimes during the year because Stephen F. Austin loses to UT San Antonio in the Battle of Jeff Trader 39-18. Arkansas State Central Arkansas was canceled, right? Yeah, this came out earlier. That was canceled. So those are some of the games. But he does a good job with this, kind of like the Saga, what do you call it, Saga ratings and some of the other stuff that we see as well. All right, final thoughts. First time yesterday. Second time today. We get a little bit of a breather over the weekend. We have a game tomorrow, but we have the game with Baylor and Houston on Saturday. We'll be back here Saturday morning, won't we, at 9:30?
Yeah, so we'll be here at 9:30 on Saturday morning for the pregame show. And I'll tell you my first thoughts is I'm glad that we have a producer who can work things out in 10 seconds like you did.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
That was A+ right there. That was because Colt's texting me about this issue, and I'm like, well, you're talking video. You're kind of beyond my grasp. So I go over, and all he needed from me was just how to feed it. That's all. What do I choose? I don't know that information. Now he knows.
It's impressive to do that. Craig?
No, it's just been good. Armstrong's a great addition to an ever-growing team. It's been cool. Like, if you walk out of the front door here, I mean, it's directly across from MLK Park, and the suspension bridge is directly across as well. So when you walk outside, first of all, you got to watch out because there's traffic going like crazy back and forth. But you got a busy road and the park right across and just people walking around. So it's a very lively little corner that we're on, and I'm sure as these businesses continue to get constructed and all the new stuff keeps moving in, this will be a very vibrant area. But, so far so good, and this has been pretty cool.
And we haven't even yet finished up many things because there's a lot more to move in, a lot more to kind of move around. I kind of miss the windows being available, though. I do, because it just kind of gave you something. But the black curtains are nice. It gives us a nice little kind of slowed things down a little bit as far as the audio, a little bit of the ceilings. Colt Barber, Ashley Hodge, and Brian Etheridge, what they've done is amazing. We've seen Grayson here. JD was here. We saw Deontay here. Who have we missed that's a part of our team? Have they all been here? Is that right?
I think so, yeah.
And then Craig,
Dylan's not been here yet, has he?
No, we got Dylan in here, yeah.
Dylan Chapman?
I mean, he's not
technically.
Yeah, but he's
McLennan Community College
he's property of Mitch Johnson's coaching staff, so it's going to be tough for him, but we'll get him over here.
I wanted to hammer home one thing real quick. We've got the game tomorrow against Connolly, as you mentioned, but you guys have said it a couple times in passing. There will be a new pregame option for you, Baylor football fans, this fall, and postgame option for you. If you checked out the website last year, far before Sikkim 365 Radio was anything more than an idea, you heard Grayson and JD Piquel on the postgame, and we're going to have that. We're going to have the pregame that we used to do on the radio, but just, shortened down a little bit, but still exactly what we used to do. So, yeah.
But it's closer to kickoff than we could before because there was the network interference.
Yeah, we had to get off the air 2 hours before the kick and just kind of roam aimlessly for 2 hours until the game started. So instead, we'll be bringing you up a lot closer to the game. So if you need something to listen to pregame-wise, we'll set the table, and then I think it'll probably be Grayson and JD and then various guests maybe from time to time that will be handling postgame as well. So, yeah, we're going to have the full meal deal for you.
Postgame audio from Miranda, the players, and then also they could even check in if they want with any of us and kind of go back over what we saw. The fact is we have high school football tomorrow night, college football Saturday, the Cowboys play Sunday, and things to digest, and a couple of in-studio guests here at Sikkim 365 headquarters on Monday that we look forward to. All right, for Armstrong Sims, I'll throw Deontay Epps in there. He came in today. Also, thanks to Colt Barber for all of he got done. It's Brian and Colt and Ashley are in and out of here all the time. For Paul Catalina, for Craig Smoke, let's name them off. Bruce Levine, who covers the Stars. Jennifer Smoke on fantasy football. Also today, Max Olson, Mickey Spagnola, Hillsborough head coach Steve Hale, former quarterback at Baylor, Jeff Watson, and Sam Bradshaw. For Paul Catalina, for Craig Smoke, and for Armstrong, thank you to our great sponsors who allow this to happen every day, and you who listen and let them know. I'm David Smoke. Good night from Sikkim 365 Radio Headquarters.